November 6th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. The headline this morning coming from Axios, I think they said it the best. Big red shock. Donald Trump, president, currently leading the Electoral College vote 277 to 244. This is from Axios. Former President Trump engineered the most astonishing, gravity-defying comeback in the history of American politics. Trump won Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, and North Carolina, and leads in 3 other swing states, Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada. The networks and the AP declared him president-elect just after 5:30 a.m. Eastern time after he carried Wisconsin, demolishing the blue wall. Across the country, across all demographics, the results tell the same story. Trump improved his margins from 2020 and assembled the most diverse GOP coalition in decades. The 2024 election delivered a historic repudiation of Democratic rule that's likely to eclipse Trump's upset victory over Hillary Clinton in 2016, when a decisive Democratic mandate to return to the White House, making him unambiguously one of the most transcendent political figures of our time. And that's not even from a conservative outlet. Wow, what a headline. We've got a show for you today. Lines are open. We want to hear from you. Did you even sleep last night? I got about 90 minutes. So I'm going to be all over the place this morning. Bill, you were on last night with Pete Boyles as well.
Yeah, I was on. I've gotten a few more hours of sleep than you, but not many. I'm still running on fumes. This will be interesting this morning. Yeah, this will be interesting.
This will be very interesting, and whatever we say will be clipped and used against us for the rest of our careers.
Absolutely.
So we want to hear from you, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line. Adding all the election drama, we got the first major snow of the season last night, and it is rough out there. Only a high of 32 degrees, snow and colder all day. Lots of snow delays for kids heading to school, so make sure you check in on that. But we want to hear from you. We want to have a discussion. Did you expect this? I know Hugo Chavez Ray did. He was texting me yesterday, Jeff, stop wringing your hands. We're going to win this thing. Did you expect this? Was it as big as you thought it was going to be? What's the mandate for Donald Trump now? And what about all the statewide ballot initiatives? So far, the Associated Press has called it for Lauren Boebert. They've called it for Brittany Pedersen. They've called it for Diana DeGette. They've called it for Jason Crow. They have not called it for Jeff Hurd, Jeff Crank, or Yadira Caraveo, Gabe Evans up in Congressional District 8. Still waiting on the numbers to come in from that. And then we'll get into all the ballot initiatives as well. This will be a show you don't want to miss. But first, news and comment with Blake Olson. Blake, did you sleep last night?
Jeff. Let's go.
Yes.
God bless America.
That is the best audio to play right there.
God bless America. The people have spoken. There's a huge combine up here in northern Colorado, and painted on it, it says too big to rig. Everyone was engaged. I haven't had a lot of sleep either. I listened to you guys last night, and I monitored a lot of things. I got a few hours here and there, but this was awesome. It's going to be a great morning.
Historic.
Absolutely.
And too big to rig, and the idea that he carried the popular vote. I mean, think about the repudiation, and we still have some states that are coming in, but think about the repudiation of his followers are garbage. This guy's Hitler. I mean, they shut that down.
Yep, that's right. Honesty, patriotism. People are tired of it. People are tired of the open borders. People are tired of the woke agenda. People are tired of being lied about and being lied to, and people are tired of people jacking with the United States of America. This is the greatest country in the world. Don't ruin it. We're going to have to fight off the commies the rest of our life, and this was the start. So, I mean, it was unbelievable. People want to raise their families in safe neighborhoods. They want to have a great education. They want the quality of life. And guess what? The left doesn't bring it. They try to destroy everything that makes us great. So this was a mandate on all that, in my opinion. And the economy didn't help them either. So here we go. It's 27. We have snow. We have cold conditions, but it doesn't matter because we're warm inside our hearts this morning. Expecting a high of 35 today. Be careful out there on the roads and wherever you're going this morning. And wake up. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story.
But it's much easier doing what the networks did or whoever called it, because there was no other path. There was no other path to victory. We also have won the popular vote. That was great. Very proud of that.
As Jeff just mentioned, DJT is the president-elect. He absolutely crushed it and secured more than enough electoral votes to win the general. This was about we the people.
Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends in this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond. The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Comes after you. What you've seen several years, this is what it looks like. Couldn't stop him. He keeps going forward. He doesn't quit. He's the most resilient, hardworking man I've ever met in my life. His family are incredible people. This is karma, ladies and gentlemen. He deserves this. They deserve it as a family.
Kamala Khan expected to speak this morning. She'll make remarks at her alma mater, Howard University. See ya. NBC News projecting the Republican Party will reclaim control of the Senate. The GOP needed to flip only 2 seats. Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert projected to win her election in Colorado's 4th congressional district.
The swamp, they thought I would fail, but you all welcomed me to Windsor, Colorado. And rather than failing, I think it's kind of like an A+ with extra credit.
Boebert currently represents the state's 3rd district, but ran for a different seat after losing re-election in 2022. And heavily Republican-leaning district. Yes,
Blake,
sir.
I texted Lauren Boebert this last night. So I know she didn't win as big as Greg Lopez, all the other stuff, right? That's what Kyle Clark's going to run. Numbers weren't the same. Okay.
Right.
Still, the amount of money that Democrats constantly have to spend to try to defeat her, and they can't. She's 3-0 in her general elections, and they have spent millions and millions and millions of dollars. I don't care that it's not as big as what Ken Buck got there. She is a Democrat money drain.
Oh, man.
And I love
awesome. That is awesome. A thorn in their side.
And they get it for at least 2 more years, probably
man.
longer. Keep pouring in money. Okay, we'll get her next time. I don't care if she wins by 0.1%. She's winning, and she's taking all of your money while doing it.
That is beautiful. I love it. Colorado's busy counting votes as several races remain too close to call. Most ballot issues could be decided today. Early results show the constitutional amendment to protect the right to abortion and allow government money to pay for the procedure appears headed for approval. Same for Amendment J, which removes the same-sex marriage ban from the state constitution. A ban on hunting mountain lions and bobcats is failing, along with ranked choice voting. The race for Congress in northern Colorado's 8th district is still undecided. Democratic Congresswoman Yadira Caraveo is leading Republican Gabe Evans by about 3,800 votes in unofficial results posted early this morning. And of course, Jeff and Billy are going to talk about this all morning long. Denver voters supporting a tax hike to raise money for Denver Health, the measure to increase the sales tax by 3.4%, received 57% support in unofficial results posted overnight. Voters were not in favor of a tax increase to support affordable housing, with nearly 52% voting against the measure. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954. Online at lairfireplacepatio.com. 24 in Arvada, 25 in Lone Tree, 27 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
This man, Donald Trump is
Olson News Talk 710 KNUS.
A winter weather advisory is in effect through 11 o'clock tonight. Occasional periods of snow, brisk and cold north winds, temperatures only near 30 today. Some additional snow accumulations will be possible as light snow can linger into early tonight. Temperatures will be down to near 20. Cloudy and cold Thursday, a few flurries Thursday night, lows in the lower 20s. Cloudy Friday, highs upper 30s, snow Friday night and Saturday and colder. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free, no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail when you can get what you want at 50% off? Just go to RockyMountainBargains.com and save. Here's this week's featured item.
A Keurig K Supreme Plus Smart Serve coffee maker valued at $200. Get it now for half price.
Get it now at RockyMountainBargains.com for 50% off. RockyMountainBargains.com, where you always pay half price. Restrictions apply. Go to RockyMountainBargains.com for complete details.
Man, it's a great morning to be a Republican. Nationwide, we've got the White House, we've got the Senate, the House is looking good. Colorado's always going to give me heartburn. We'll get into that a little bit more, but you don't get to feel this way all that often. 2000, 2004, then long journey. We lose in 2008. We lose in 2012. You get the unexpected win in 2016. Lose in 2020. Now back to 2024. That is a moment to take as a Republican and just go, great. We'll talk about the mandate. What do you expect to see from Trump in his leadership, the Republicans in the Senate and the Republicans in the House? What did you think of the Colorado election results? Is Yadira Caraveo going to beat Gabe Evans? Is there a way for him to find it forward? What about all those different questions It looks like school choice not going to be in the Constitution. Abortion will be in the Constitution, and you're still going to be able to hunt mountain lions, but you just have to pay extra for the ammo. And we're all over the place here in Colorado. We want to hear from you. 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line. Let's go to the phone lines. Lola, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning. And Jeff, I am with you in all that you said. First of all, I just want to give thanks to the Lord because he heard the prayers of his prayer warriors. And secondly, I believe that this is going to be an opportunity for President Trump in this administration to really know now who he can trust. And he's going to have a new crew working around him to get things done without malice and without retribution. I just don't believe he's going that direction. And I don't think any of us really want that. We want justice, truly. And so, yeah, it's a good day.
Yeah, tell me what you're looking forward to in his administration. Look, we're going to have a guaranteed 2 years with Republicans in control of the Senate, and it looks like they're going to get the House. It's not totally confirmed, but it looks like it's going to be a good 2 years. Now, last time, and if I was in the shoes of the Democrats, I'd use all the power I had to try to stop them. The lawsuits from governors, attorney generals. I'd use the courts. I'd use everything I could to try to stop them. It's what the parties do when they're out of power to try to rein in when one party seems to have total control. So I want to be realistic. That's all I'm saying. But what do you want to see in those 2 years?
Well, Jeff, I think that this woke up the American people, those that voted, even on both sides, I think they voted for him quite a bit, to realize that we were on such a threshold to lose our republic that now we have a chance to keep it and change it. But it's going to take courage. It's going to take people to speak up. So I really want all these woke agendas, especially I'm female, and I want all this female, gender stuff, just to be in line with what the people want. I'm not against those that want to behave the way they want to behave.
Right, but no women in women's, or no men in women's sports, no men in women's locker rooms, that type of stuff.
Absolutely. And take this stuff out of our schools. Our children need to be children, and they need to learn the basics without all of this woke agenda. So I think we're going to make some headway there. And I think once people see that it's going to be justice, it's going to be, the right choosing of these choices, it's going to make a difference. I think people are going to get their courage back.
Now, Lola, tell me what you mean by the right choices in these decisions. What do you mean by that?
I guess I mean righteous or biblical righteousness, meaning men cannot be women and vice versa, and just because they choose to be.
So you're looking for something that would bend the U.S. government more towards a theocracy, more towards the idea of getting back to biblical principles.
Absolutely, because that's where we started. That's where we were found.
And you're trusting the person that doesn't show any Christian faith or any commitment to the faith. So I'm just curious about the conclusion. I respect your choice and I understand that, and I can even agree with you on some of that. What I'm curious about is that's the scion. The guy that is on his third marriage, that cheated on all of his wives, the guy that's been found liable for sexual. Oh no, Lola, I just accidentally cut you. Oh, damn it! I'm tired. I just cut Lola off by accident.
Do you want me to take? You want me to take Lola's role?
No, I would just say that if you call
Lola,
back, I'll put you right back in. I'm so
there
sorry.
She is. She's calling.
Let me see. It's
He's gonna get. But
no. If she calls right back in, I will put her right. I'll put her right up. I pushed the wrong button. I've been up too long. I pushed the wrong button on the wrong bank. Hang on. Oh, there she is. Hang on. We're
gonna have a really fun morning.
Lola, is that you? I'm sorry. I cut you off. I'm so sorry. I pushed the wrong button. Not on purpose. It's me. I've had no sleep. I just totally pushed the wrong button. So that was not.
Well, I just want
to
tell you the 3 times I've talked to you, I get cut off, and I always wonder if maybe you went to commercial.
No, not at all.
Bill, but Bill, look, Bill, I'm not even mad at you anymore. There's a chance for you to topple to our side.
Hey,
however,
thanks. I appreciate that.
Hey, but no, you asked about these things, how I wanted it to
Yeah,
What were you
yeah.
asking?
And the idea of, are we trusting Donald Trump, who doesn't have any of the trappings of being a Christian, and we're trusting him to bring us back to biblical principles? Help me understand that process.
No, well, I'm not trusting Donald Trump. I'm trusting God to be around him, the people that he will surround himself with. You know, he has a lot of wonderful Christians that are guiding him as well. But got to remember, Bill, we're all sinners. But we all have a past. We all have a closet somewhere and family. So none of us are saints.
Yeah,
but there's a chance here to get us back in line with
the
biblical.
But you remember you're trusting the guy who said that he doesn't think he's ever done anything wrong and doesn't have anything to confess. That is ridiculous. No, but Lola, we can agree we're all sinners. We're all broken, and he says he doesn't have anything. Wow.
Look, we may say things, but God's plans will prevail. That's how I believe, and I believe that regardless of what we say, granted, I'm not going to say he's not going to make mistakes or say stupid things or whatever. He does. We all do. But I'm sorry, my faith is just too strong to believe it.
I totally respect that.
And he's saying that we may go down we're going to have fireworks for sure. We're going to go through paths here. But the whole point is we can have hope. And that's, and a republic. And if we don't try, we fail.
Yeah.
So there you
Although
go,
I would say that there is and we have to keep this in mind, there is a segment of our electorate this morning that does not have hope. While you're talking about it, there's a segment of our electorate that feels like their rights, their choices, and their liberties are going to be under fire for at least the next 2 years, if not the next 4. So they don't feel the same optimism and hope that you do.
And I do want to remind everybody, the other side was wildly hostile to people of faith. So yeah, Donald Trump may not live the life of Franklin Graham or Mike Pence or those types of guys.
Really
but
wildly hostile?
You referred to, hold on. You referred to Christians as Christian nationalists when Kamala Harris was asked about conscience protections against abortion. She said, we're not going to do that. This is the same team that's gone after Jack Phillips over and over again.
I don't think Kamala Harris or Joe Biden went after Jack Phillips, to be fair.
No, same team. The progressives, it's the progressives that have done this. And then you referred to Donald Trump supporters as garbage. I mean, deplorables.
But Donald Trump
and Barack Obama claiming, that we're clinging to our guns and our Bibles. There's a hostility on the left towards people of religion that was repudiated in this election.
But to be fair, JD Vance in the last 24 hours referred to Kamala Harris as garbage. So the idea that both sides don't refer to each other in horrible terms is incorrect. It's not one side or the other. Both sides do it.
Well, you know what? I hope that stops. But I do want to let you know, at these last 4 years we're going through, ending 4 years now, even though we were the underdogs, or we felt the way that we weren't getting what we wanted, we did not destroy our country. We weren't destroying it.
I would refer back to January 6th and maybe push back a little bit on that level.
Even then, they didn't destroy the house. They didn't destroy the building. They didn't destroy people.
They wanted to kill the vice president. I would say that's something that's, and let's see if the liberals react the same way. Let's see what happens. Last time they knit hats and they marched. Let's see if they get violent.
Lola, I appreciate the call.
On both sides, so.
Yeah, Lola, really appreciate the call.
Thanks, Lola.
I think you're exactly right. This was a repudiation of the hostility of the radical left towards people of faith. In part, there's a big stew here, but that was part of what happened last night. And I think progressives need to take stock in that and not call every person that wants to bring their biblical values into the public square a Christian nationalist. We'll get to the phone lines. I want to talk to you about my good friend, Dan Kaplis and Dan Kaplis Law. Look, Dan suggested you should choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Kaplis, he's the son of a police officer, a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Kaplis Law is so trusted that they are the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Kaplan's Law, a serious firm for serious cases. And you're probably saying to yourself, I can't afford this guy. Well, it's not true. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. If you need Dan's help, give him a call. Even if you're on a car accident right now, put his phone number into your phone because it is really slushy out there. And I saw a few accidents on the way into the studio this morning. You want to be able to quickly call him. Here's his number, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplanslaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLIS law.com. All right, let's go to Barney. Good morning, Barney.
Hey, morning.
I bet you're feeling well.
Jeff, I'm probably going to have to puke after this phone call because I have to agree a little bit with Billy. So you make puke.
Barney, I'm going to have to puke too.
I want to say something to Christian. First
the
off,
best.
you know what? When I pray, well, first off, I'm not getting into heaven anytime soon because and all these Christians that will come up and say, do this and do that. It's like, now, when you get rid of all the a-holes down here, then I'll start being a good Christian. Until then, you can forget it. Now, I don't pray to God for elections or football games or any other damn. I pray that he keeps my grandbaby safe. That's all I care about in my family. That's his job. All this other stuff is just so out there. And with all due respect to Franklin Graham, and this is not what I called about, but since that woman set me off, he comes out there and says, you know what? If you're Muslim, go hide in your closet and be a Christian. That is so offensive. Why can't, if you meet me on the street, Jeff, and you're a Christian and I'm a Muslim, can't you just say, right on, buddy, and then walk your way? And then you start, when you pin Christians down on other people, well, what about the little Muslim baby that's 4 years old doesn't know about Jesus? What about the Buddhist in China? Look, I'm not buying it. I don't think God did this. Look, this is the American people.
We're going to have a theology debate this morning.
Yeah, I know, and I didn't want to talk about that. I would like to say that I do not like Lauren Wolford, but I'm kind of glad she won just to piss the liberals off. I think it's great. But honest to God, I was not going to, until I saw Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina, man, I was like sweating it. It was like, oh my God, this. But I'm pretty sure he does win. Maybe he wins Michigan too. Wisconsin, right on. I mean, it is a landslide. But it's funny how everybody at CNN this morning brought up the mandate word, and they about crapped their pants. It's like, oh my God, that's a horrible word now. We're going to go down an ugly path. Look, we don't need God to help us with this. We just need to, maybe get along a little bit. But you know what, Jeff? Billy, I'm still going to hate you. Okay?
Oh, that's fine, man. And here's the thing, Barney. I am here for your hate, man. I am here to be your vessel. I sure appreciate it. I'm here. All the hate, just pour it on me, my friend. I am here for you, and I appreciate every moment you spend with us.
Well, hang on a minute. The gun excise tax. I'm sorry, guys. That's unconstitutional, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that's going to hold up. That's an infringement. It's just my opinion.
Here's the thing, Barney, let's talk about that just for a second. I just want your opinion on it, because what I'm thinking is, if you had to go after court, because I understand the idea of you can't necessarily put a tax or a fee on something that's a Second Amendment right, but I disagree with the idea that there aren't fees and other things associated with it. And what I'm looking at is they're probably going to go after it as a sin tax, that it's not preventing you in any way, shape, or form from exercising your rights, but it is a tax on X,
and
Y,
I think
or Z.
we already do pay some taxes on our guns. I bought a gun not that long ago.
We absolutely do.
So we pay tax sold in industrial sides of the city. So look at the tax. The guy that pays a cheap handgun out there $700-800. You know what? Yeah. The tax is irrelevant for whether he can afford it or not. I just don't like it. I mean, I just...
No, I agree with you on that. No, it's fair, a tax on our constitutional rights.
It's totally fair.
But you know what? Going to the gun issue, Billy.
Yeah.
These women and the abortion, look at us guys with guns. We don't respect any of these new laws. All this gun grabbing crap. We know now it's not going to happen because too many Democrats have a gun. It's just not going to happen.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you.
I wish women would get to the point that, no, it's not women's health. It's not women's health. It's not reproductive rights. It's abortion. So I'm not going to offend a woman and tell her, look, I'm not going to preach to her. I'm not even going to bring God into it. I'm just going to say, just research it because you're probably going to regret it.
Yeah.
And all I'll say about that little soul, once it's gone. That little guy that little gal is gone forever. It makes me sick the way they talk about abortion. They make it sound like it's, well, one guy said it was a parasite. I was arguing with somebody on the internet. He called it a parasite.
Yeah, that's not true.
You guys are missing out. If you don't have kids, you are looking.
Yeah.
No religion could have
Here's the
done
thing,
something.
Barney. Here's the thing that I look at. When you talk about the idea of the Second Amendment and saying, well, if they increase laws, etc., Second Amendment supporters will just ignore them. I'm wondering if we can take that same argument and then apply it to abortion. That regardless of the rules that we put in place, abortion will still exist in America. Even if we had a national abortion, we could still say that those people that want an abortion are going to find ways around the laws. They're going to ignore the laws, just like you said about Second Amendment. So banning it doesn't get us to the place that we want to be, which is no abortions.
I agree, but the only difference is, Billy, is you're going to have a medical professional do it. That's going to have to worry about getting sued.
Well,
I don't
not
think
necessarily, man.
Man,
not necessarily. Not necessarily. I was reading a story just yesterday about a woman who got pregnant when she was 18, and abortion wasn't allowed at the time. It was pre-Roe, and she went to a guy who basically performed the abortion on his kitchen table. Nothing was sanitized. She didn't have any anesthetic. He fed her whiskey beforehand, and she almost bled out from sepsis 48 hours later. And so the idea that we're going to have doctors doing it, I don't think we're going to.
Crazy.
I know, but that's the
like
issue.
There's adoption.
I know, but we have people that like pretend to be plastic surgeons and do things in a van in an alley. So the idea that wouldn't take up the abortion,
look
absolutely.
At these women that have plastic surgery with the
Yep.
eyebrow. It's like,
Dude,
you guys look like cartoon characters.
They look like they're Brian, they look like they're surprised all the time.
Exactly.
Yes.
All right.
Kenny Rogers.
Oh God! Don't bring Kenny Rogers. Barney, you are the best, man.
Barney,
I am here
great
for
call.
your hate. Have a great day.
I don't even know where to place Barney.
Oh, he's fantastic.
I got some. You got some.
I love it.
There you go.
That's what makes our
Barney,
listeners.
Jesus loves you, Barney.
Yeah, that's what makes our listeners so much better than anything else out there.
I
You guys
know.
are better than any
I
other
know.
audience out there.
And Lola's great as well. We'll
She is.
continue. We got nearly full lines. I can sneak one in here. 303-696-1971. Dwayne and Brian, you guys will be up next. But we got a whole lot to cover. Donald J. Trump, number 45 and number 47. And it's so sweet to hear. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to a special Jeff and Bill show. Post-election analysis. Donald J. Trump is president, and our phone lines are full. Let's go to Dwayne Divide. I bet you got a lot of snow last night.
You know, surprisingly, we only got about 4 inches, which is really unusual for what we're hearing from you folks. But cold, yeah, we're 3 below zero here at 10,000 feet.
Oh, boy.
I'm out for a walk, and I went, no, I don't think that's going to happen. So I did my little bit. A few things I was really surprised about that something amazing happened last night. I mean, after all, the terrible human being Donald Trump did sleep with other people, but, you know, Harris, she slept with a guy for years and even had a parking spot in his old apartment. But I mean, you know, if you're going to go morals, at least go both sides. But I like the popular vote. And I like the fact that he took Pennsylvania without waiting 6 weeks. And I believe now with all that, and we have the Senate, Carrie Lake, after all the times we've heard about her, is now going to be able to step in and do what she does. I think we're going to do okay with some things for a while, but I see a lot of legal challenges. Tell me I'm wrong.
Oh, no, it's exactly what I would do. I was talking to Ted Trippel last night because we were talking about the Trump mandate. What is the mandate he has now? And I said, push, drive, cut 80% of the federal government. Come on, put Elon Musk in charge of this stuff. And Ted jumped in. Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. You know, and they'll do exactly what Republicans would have done if Kamala had won, which is use the power of the governors, the attorney generals in the states, and the courts to tie everything up. Do you remember when they tied up Trump when he was trying to build the wall?
Please.
I mean,
every time you turned around, it was something.
Right.
But the only nice thing is
to be fair on that one, that should have been paid for by Mexico. That was the deal.
Well,
so him coming back here and saying America needs to pay for something that he said was going to pay for Mexico, I got every support for the people saying no. You said Mexico was going to pay for this. Why are you coming to me and telling me I got to pay for it now? That wasn't the deal when people clicked that box and voted for him. That was the promise, and he didn't fulfill that promise.
Well, through tariffs, they kind of did.
No.
With all the things coming across the border, they were hit with higher tariffs. So that would have been. The
no,
nice
because
thing is
Dwayne, that wouldn't work because tariffs are paid by the importer, not the exporter. So Mexico wouldn't have paid for it.
Well, somebody would have gone.
I know, but it still would have been U.S. money.
Yes. The real thing I'm going to have fun with is Whoopi Goldberg telling us interracial marriages are done and that we're going to redistribute the spouses. I wonder how J.D. Vance feels about that with his wife and 3 kids. The rhetoric that went on, the excitement and thrills, and the whole, even Oprah, this may be our last election in the next 100 years. We have a moment here, gentlemen, to make the decisive point for this country.
And Dwayne, I want to ask you about the rhetoric here. 71 million people voted for Adolf Hitler. That they want a fascist versus 66 is what the Democrats saying is that America is now a fascist nation because a majority of the popular vote now has supported Donald Trump.
Well, the one thing I think that the mistakes that were made between lawfare and others, one gentleman on the New York Times sat there and said the worst thing we ever did was deplatform him, because then he went out and made Truth Social and he went out and fired other directions to make things happen. If it wasn't Donald Trump, nobody else could have done it because he had the funds and the tenacity to sit there and say, F me? No. Let me show you how it's done. And has, absolutely taken everybody on the left to task. But I will like to see what happens now. 20% through the Bureau of Labor Statistics sit there and see what we had for inflation and other cost increases. And if you can knock that down and take away a few things of trying to see why a crawfish runs on a treadmill at a certain speed, if we get rid of some of those crazy funds, I'd like to see that maybe we can turn.
Yeah, and Dwayne, I want to briefly go back to lawfare real quick. Last question for you. What do you expect the left to do? I mean, do you really expect them to go, well, gosh, every time we prosecuted him, we made him sit in a stale courtroom, we made him take a mugshot, he got better and stronger. Do you think they have the self-awareness to look at that and go, well, maybe doing that to your political opponents in America, the American people won't put up with it? Or are they going to do what they did in 2016, and the minute he gets into office, launch impeachment proceedings, kick off that, and go right back to the divisiveness?
Well, Congressman Green out of Texas immediately started impeachment, and the guy hadn't even said anything. I expect that to stay the same. I do sit there and see that there's going to be some issues, but I think that the populace, with of course the popular vote and the voting item and everybody, I mean, if it was just him and we had Democratic Congress people, I'd sit there and say, okay, that was one thing. But we do have a mandate from the people, because we do have more Senate people. We do appear to have at least a small minority with Congress. I think people have said this is enough. I don't care what people do. I don't want a boy slamming a volleyball into a girl's face, causing brain damage. I don't want them sitting there in the swim trunks and everything else doing their thing. I don't care. If you want to believe you are, that's fine. It's mental illness as far as I'm concerned. Go ahead. But I do believe right now that at times in life, there's the crossroads. And I think we saw that 4 years ago with Mr. Unity. And I think people have now said, you know what? Enough is enough. I want to go back to what we used to have.
Yep.
Is it everything everybody wants? I don't think so. But I do believe he's going to be in for a heck of a fight, but there's nobody better that can do it.
Great summary, Dwayne. Stay warm up there and Divide. Really appreciate the call. We'll continue with our phone calls and You Choose the News. Coming up, you're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail?
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Man, we've got full phone, text messages coming in. Tell us what you think about what happened last night. And we'll get into the Colorado ballot here as well. Lots to cover, but we want to hear from you. But first, let's break the tension a little bit with You Choose the News.
Yes, let's do something that is completely and totally ridiculous just for a moment. It's something we call You Choose the News. It's everybody's favorite fake radio news game show. I have spent moments this morning scouring the interwebs for really, really dumb stories about us humans to give them fake radio news headlines so that we can play this game. Why? Nobody in charge is awake. In fact, they're probably still hungover. They were celebrating last night. Everybody was here until, wow, really, really late. So you know it's going to be a late morning for them, and we are going to take full advantage. Alrighty, Blake Olson from the newsroom is joining us, and Jeff Hunt in the studio. Here we go, gentlemen, your headlines. Headline number 1, to preserve tradition. Headline number 2, gotta be a trashy town. Headline number 3, paying for quality. And headline number 4, that's an immediate response. All right, Mr. Hunt, your choice.
That's an immediate response.
Yes, that is an immediate response. Recently, an Oregonian cyclist was out exercising, trying to make himself better, and got into an accident. Luckily, there was an ambulance right there that was immediately able to take care of his injuries and transport him to the hospital. Unfortunately, it is also the ambulance that hit him while he was on his bike. Yes, he was riding down. He was riding down the road. He's 71 years old, and the Columbia River Fire and Rescue ambulance took a right turn right into his bicycle and hit him. Here's the fun part. He racked up about $50,000 in medical bills, another $47,000 in miscellaneous medical expenses, and received a bill from the ambulance of $1,800 for transporting him to the hospital.
Yeah, you may want to forgive that one.
Yeah, so the ambulance that hit him billed him for then transporting him to the hospital for the accident they caused.
That's horrible.
Yes. Now, he obviously, you know, this is America, so he is suing them. He's asking for, but again, you saw there was $50,000 in one, $47,000 another, and $1,800 there. He's asking for $900,000 because, of course, he is.
Is that all?
That's math.
Well, it might,
math.
might send a message.
I know.
Don't hit the guy, put him in your car, and then charge him for driving.
Yeah, that's the part that I get is somebody in the process had to go, well, we hit him and send the bill. You're like, huh? Okay. All righty then.
Right.
All right. Blake Olson in the newsroom. To preserve tradition, that's a trashy town, or paying for quality.
That's a trashy town.
Yeah, that's a trashy town. We are talking about Gordonsville right now. Gordonsville is in need of a new trash collector. Recently, Updike Industries said, no, man, we're not going to renew our contract with the town because y'all are a bunch of trash. And they mean it literally. The issue is that 2 years ago, Gordonsville's trash collection contractor said, well, we can't keep up with all the trash you guys are producing, and so we canceled the contract. They went out and they found Updike Industries. Updike Industries is like, no, do you have any idea how much trash you people are throwing out? This is freaking ridiculous. They're talking about showing up and having garbage stacked 3 to 4 feet high at the curb, and their contract says you're allowed 64 gallons a week, and that's much less than the amount of trash that's being placed out there. So they're actually leaving trash behind and leaving it on the streets, and now people are mad thinking the trash people aren't doing their jobs, but they're like, wait, we did this contract and we bid it based on a total run load. So we did it based on poundage, how much we're going to have to haul. And so if we start hauling 2 to 3 times that, and that's what Updike is saying, they're hauling 3 times the contracted amount of trash, they can't make a profit. So they said, hey, your town's too trashy. We cancel the contract. I know. They even brought extra trucks in order to deal with the problem, but still didn't help. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I know. How much trash are they producing? What are they doing? Are they ordering from Amazon every day? What the hell's
I know
going
a
on
comedian who can talk about that.
Yeah. All right. That's a nice one. Good call back there. All righty. Jeff Hunt, final choice this morning, sir. To preserve tradition or paying for quality?
To preserve tradition.
Yes, to preserve tradition. That is the utmost importance, especially when we're talking about going to the seat of the Catholic religion, Rome. Yes, in one of the most holy cities on our entire planet. They want to make sure that when you come to some of their most famous spots, that you still get to experience it, even though they're being renovated. And right now, the Trevi Fountain is undergoing a phenomenal renovation right now. Got to be scrubbed, got to be clean, got to look wonderful. The problem is, what are they going to do with all those coins? You know, it's famous. People go to the Trevi Fountain and make wishes and you throw the coins into the water. What are you going to do? Because, you know, the government still wants that sweet, sweet coin. They harvest about 1.5 million euros out of that fountain a year. They don't want to give up the free money. People just keep throwing at them. So they have constructed a little tiny baby pool, and they filled it with water right in front of the renovation. So the problem is the tourists that are showing up is like, this is the most sad and depressing thing I've ever seen. I mean, you show up to one of the most beautiful spots inside of Rome, and there's no water. Yeah, they're doing renovations, but they're trying to placate you with the tiny baby pool filled with water. And the baby pool has what is it? Like wood around it and stuff. And the funny thing is, if you look at the pictures, people have to go over a fence and throw the money at the baby pool, and they're missing. So there's coins all over the ground around it as well. So yeah, I still love the idea that at some point there was a meeting.
Yes,
people
exactly.
in charge in Rome going,
but we need the money.
Yeah, we got the money. We can't just not have them throw the money at us. I have a baby pool. Oh, sir, you're going to go far in this government. This obviously is a solution to our government problems. Yes, more baby pools. Yeah. All right. That's it. That's the end of You Choose the News. We are done for.
I feel like there's so much there, but since I got 90 minutes of sleep last night,
I know there's so much more to
my
go.
synapses are just not connecting to be able to make
That's why I disconnected Lola
little
earlier by accident.
I
know, man. This is going to be fun. Today is going to be fun.
This is going to be one for the record
Yes, it
books.
will, my friend.
Donald J. Trump is president, and we're going to continue the conversation next hour. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS. We'll see you in a second.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail when you can get what you want at 50% off? Just go to RockyMountainBargains.com and save. Here's this week's featured item.
A Keurig K Supreme Plus Smart Serve Coffee Maker valued at $200. Get it now for half price.
Get it now at RockyMountainBargains.com for 50% off. Rocky Mountain.
7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, November 6th, and it is a historic day. They tried to impeach him, imprison him, assassinate him twice. They called him fascist, Hitler, his supporters garbage and deplorable. He took a bullet for us. They took his mugshot, forced him to sit through sham trials, put his aides in prison, raided his home, and he overcame it all. Donald J. Trump is president number 45 and number 47 and goes into the White House with a mandate. Look, I'm tired of Republicans taking power and backing off in an effort to appease Democrats. Push the boundaries. Take a sledgehammer to the federal government. Close the Department of Education. Cut federal employees and their power by 80%. End the burdensome regulations and corruption. Unleash the power of the free markets. And crush the trade deficit. End our endless wars, bring peace to the world, deliver manufacturing back to our shores, and drill, baby, drill. Stop men from invading women's sports and their locker rooms. Build a wall and begin mass deportations. Strengthen the originalists on the U.S. Supreme Court. Protect religious freedom and build a strong culture of family values. Make America healthy again. Empower the dream team, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, Robert F. Kennedy, Dana White, Ron Paul, and Joe Rogan to change this government. It's time to make America great again. To the race-hustling, man-hating, open border globalists, you big government, woke, lawfare, uniparty warmongers, you lost. Take stock. The American people are ready to turn a new page. Trump Vance 2024. And I am all about getting your calls today. Give us a call, 303-696-1971.
I'm a little confused.
303-696-1971.
I feel like after you read that, my role in the show, I need to throw my chair back and challenge you to a fight in the hall. No,
Throw
appreciate
down,
what you said. Yeah,
Billy boy.
I feel like
Throw
that's
down.
what it was. It was a hey. It was one of those things across the bar. Oh yeah.
Trump
well
Vance
written,
2024.
Yeah. Well written.
Well, that was written late last night, and I have gotten about 90 minutes of sleep. So you are listening to what is going to be one of the one of the shows for the record books, because Billy and I, neither of us got much sleep last night.
Oh my goodness!
And as a forlorn, losing Republican in Colorado, I am going to take the moment.
And you should. You deserve it. You deserve it.
Well, I went through quite a crisis after the last one, where I was like, oh, I'm a perpetual loser in the state of Colorado.
Yeah, and
now I get to win.
And here's the thing: I've been talking to people on the text messages and stuff that I played soccer through high school and college and beyond, and I've been on the field where I have won 10-0, and I've been on the field where I've lost 10-0. I'm an adult. Yeah, lose sometimes. This is not the choice I would have made, but okay, that's fine. This is not the choice of the direction but okay, this is the choice we're going to do, and this is the game we're going to play. Okay, fine. I think you have the experience enough, and I do too, that and Ted Trimpo talked about this last night. The sun's going to rise, and there's lots of avenues for Democrats to, try to stop everything. So there's going to be a pushback. Oh yeah, and I'm not a Democrat, nor am I a strong Kamala supporter. I thought that in the binary choice, for a number of reasons that I outlined on the show, that she made more sense in a number of ways. But if this is the choice that we want, if this is the choice, and just yesterday, I'm on here, people are yelling at me saying that Donald Trump has fascist tendencies, but I never said don't vote for him. And one of the things I said is, if you really believe we're going communist, this is the smartest choice. This would make the most sense to tack back that way. So if that's your worldview and that's what you want, do it. I'm not here telling you not to, nor am I sitting here crying and saying, oh my God, America's destroyed. I'm saying, okay, this is what we've got. Let's move forward. That's fine. And I appreciate each and every one of you calling and asking me how I'm feeling and doing everything else. And we're open to talk about it. That's fine. I appreciate it. And I hope that we can have a lot of conversations this morning about why. That's the one thing I'm curious about, is the why this choice was made. What's the reason that?
Why?
Yeah, it's a question I had from the last 4 years: is what made Donald Trump a better candidate yesterday than he was 4 years ago when he lost. I'm really, really curious about that. Spent some time yesterday looking at some of the pullouts on vote totals and who was voting where. I found it absolutely fascinating. And a couple of things that I thought were going to happen didn't at all. I was completely and totally wrong about one specific demographic we'll talk about later. They did not break the way that I saw them doing earlier in polls. And that was incredibly shocking for me. And there was another demographic that broke away that I didn't think they were going to. That also was incredibly shocking, but we'll get to that later. Yeah.
To give you a sense of what our text messages look like, Jeff, I love you unfiltered, and Jeff, shut up.
Yes.
Are two text messages back to back.
I know. And I've got those too. I've got those. It's going to be fine, Billy. And those. Oh my God, I'm so glad that you suck, Bill. So yes, this is great. I love you guys.
We'll get to the phone calls, but first, news and comment from Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, guys. Great to talk to you. 26 and snowy and slick outside. Be careful in and around Denver. Expecting a high of 35 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story.
That will allow us to make America great again.
An whipping of biblical proportions. DJT is the president-elect. He dominated despite the lawfare, lies, hoaxes, and assassination attempts. He secured more than enough electoral votes to win the general. This was all about we the people.
Help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Dana White.
Nobody deserves this more than him, and nobody deserves this more than his family does. This is what happens when the machine comes after you. What you've seen over the last several years, this is what it looks like. Couldn't stop him. He keeps going forward. He doesn't quit. He's the most resilient, hardworking man I've ever met in my life. His family are incredible people. This is karma, ladies and gentlemen. He deserves this. They deserve it as a family.
Speaking of karma, Kamala Khan. Okay, Harris expected to speak this morning. She'll make remarks at her alma mater, Howard University. Lola's a voter and one of our great listeners.
I just want to give thanks to the Lord because he heard the prayers of his prayer warriors. And secondly, I believe that this is going to be an opportunity for President Trump in this administration to really know now who he can trust. And he's going to have a new crew working around him to get things done without malice.
And Scott Jennings on CNN, he always seems to hit the nail on the head.
This is a big deal. This isn't backing into the office. This is a mandate to do what you said you were going to do. Get the economy working again for regular working class Americans, fix immigration, try to get crime under control, try to reduce the chaos in the world. This is a mandate from the American people to do that. I think I'm interpreting the results tonight as the revenge of just a regular old working class American, the anonymous American who has been crushed, insulted, condescended to. They're not garbage. They're not Nazis. They're just regular people who get up and go to work every day and are trying to make a better life for their kids. And they feel like they have been told to just shut up.
NBC News projecting the Republican Party will reclaim control of the Senate. The GOP needed to flip only 2 seats. And oh yeah, remember all those pollsters and the experts? Never forget them. Never, ever forget them. One of those geniuses, Ann Seltzer, remember that? Iowa a few days ago said they were going to go for the con.
For me to see what does this D represent and the R represent?
Yeah, that was an 11th hour fraud. R and D, what do they represent? Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert representing Colorado, the 4th district, congressional district, and she looks like she's going to win.
The swamp, they thought I would fail, but you all welcomed me to Windsor, Colorado. And rather than failing, I think it's kind of like an A+ with extra credit.
Boebert currently represents the state's 3rd district, but ran for a different seat after losing re-election in 2022, a heavily Republican-leaning district. Boebert cruised to a victory over her Democratic opponent, Tricia Calvarisi. Colorado busy counting votes as several races remain too close to call. Most ballot issues could be decided today. Early results show the constitutional amendment to protect the right to abortion and allow government money to pay for the procedure appears headed for approval. Same for Amendment J, which removes a same-sex marriage ban from the state constitution, but a ban on hunting mountain lions and bobcats is failing, along with ranked choice voting. The race for Congress in northern Colorado's 8th district is still undecided. Democratic Congresswoman Yadira Caraveo is leading Republican Gabe Evans by about 3,800 votes in unofficial results posted early this morning. And Denver voters are supporting a tax hike to raise money for Denver Health. The measure to increase the sales tax by 0.34% received 57% support in unofficial results posted overnight. Voters were not in favor of a tax increase to support affordable housing, with nearly 52% voting against the measure. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954. Online at lairfireplacepatio.com. 23 in Broomfield, 25 in Littleton, 26 in Denver. Once again, be careful on the roads this morning. Jeff and Billy continue.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
A winter weather advisory is in effect through 11 o'clock tonight. Occasional periods of snow, brisk and cold north winds, temperatures only near 30 today. Some additional snow accumulations will be possible as light snow could linger into early tonight. Temperatures will be down to near 20. Cloudy and cold Thursday, a few flurries Thursday night, lows in the lower 20s. Cloudy Friday, highs upper 30s. Snow Friday night and Saturday, and colder. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free, no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day,
Rocky Mountain Bargain.
KNUS Weather Center.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail when you can get what you want at 50% off? Just go to RockyMountainBargains.com and save. Here's this week's featured item.
A Keurig K Supreme Plus Smart Serve Coffee Maker valued at $200. Get it now for half price.
Get it now at RockyMountainBargains.com for 50% off. RockyMountainBargains.com, where you always pay half price. Restrictions apply. Go to RockyMountainBargains.com for complete details.
It was like 50%, 65, 70, all the way up to 80, 95, and then they finally called it. 277 he sits right now versus Harris, 244. What did you think of last night's results? Did you see it coming? Let's go to the phone lines. Brian Arvada, good morning. What did you think of last night's results?
Hey, morning.
Did we get you, Brian?
I know he's there. I talked to him a minute ago. Hang on, I'm going to put him on hold and I'll talk to him a second. Okay.
Back here in a second. And I also want to hear about your thoughts on the Colorado ballot initiatives. That information starting to come in. I went 9 for 14 on the ballot initiatives. Amendment G. We want to try Brian again, then we'll go back to the statewide ballot initiatives. All right, Brian Arvada, you there?
Hey, Jeff, I'm proud you went 9 for 14. But it's a glorious day in America, and I'm playing Lee Greenwood all morning.
I love it.
And I'm not an "I told you so" guy, because I've had that go the other way for me. But this is one time. The haters, I told you so. And I don't consider Billy a hater. I consider him very practical. But there was a lot of haters along the way. Dick, what not to do Wadhams can go crawl in a hole and just bury himself there, because I don't care. He can't tell us what to do. He can just tell us what not to do. He said Trump will never win, run so far away from him. That's one person he can eat crow today. Everyone else, I'm going to put my arm around, because that's what we should do as Christians, and that's what we should do as Republicans. Put our arms around everyone, and we don't need to say "I told you so," because the look on everyone's face, all the haters, that's the "I told you so." I don't need to say a word. And we got this country back finally. But, we still got a lot of work to do. Colorado's lost. I don't know if we'll ever get it back.
It'll take 25 years to get it back. But Brian, I want to ask you a question before you jump onto the other stuff. You had some really good comments there about Dick Wadhams, about the never Trumpers, about those that came from the Republican Party and looked at Donald Trump and said that they were so sickened by the guy, and they believed he was such a loser, that he was this giant weight upon Republicans. And in one context, Trump Republicans aren't winning in the state of Colorado. But this was a massive victory. I mean, a big one. Popular vote, electoral college vote. Trump has smashed through a lot of the barriers that a Mitt Romney, John McCain, Bob Dole Republican could have never done in their wildest dreams. Donald Trump is a successful Republican, outreaching to minorities, energizing young men. I mean, wildly successful last night. What do you think those never Trumpers need to do? Do they need to come to terms with the fact that they got Trump wrong, and they need to be honest with it and say, I misread this, and try to come back into the fold? Or are they going to continue to be out there like the Liz Cheneys and essentially just join the Democrat Party?
Oh, the true haters will continue to hate. They'll never say they're wrong. I'm watching MSNBC and CNN today, and they're just humbled. They're not saying they were wrong. They're just humbled. And that's it. We've humbled these people, but they're still going to be out there hating Republicans, hating Trump the whole way. So again, I'm not going to be an in-your-face guy. I'm going to put my arm around them. But guess what? You were wrong. You all were wrong on Trump. And if we had an up-and-up election in 2020, this would be the exact same result. We had people watching this time. We had people making sure things weren't going to go wrong this time. And guess what happened? Trump won. So for all the election deniers, for everyone else, this is redemption. Today is redemption for Trump and all the haters. Just go away. Just go away. And we're going to be on Billy's ticker to see, is Trump going to be a fascist? I'll be watching every day.
Yeah.
What is Trump going to do to be a fascist?
Yeah.
He ain't going to be one.
Well,
we all know he's not going to be one.
Because
that was just fear mongering.
Yeah, but
all it was.
No, hang on a sec, Brian. Here's the thing: it's what I said is his decision making has fascist tendencies. That he does that based on his worldview, and so let's see if that bears it out. If he bears out and starts making those decisions, and that's a completely and totally fair critique. I never said that he has chosen this as his ideology. I just said that based on his worldview, those are the decisions that he makes, and I'm completely and totally open to the idea of keeping track of those and to see if that is the kind of thing that he does, and we can go back and forth and look at that. And the other thing I look at in this idea is, let's go back to the idea of the election fraud and the election denial back in 2020. I'm hearing from a number of people, and I read online, that this is sort of a vindication that Trump can actually win. So does this disprove the 2020 election fraud? Or did somehow Trump break the election fraud? Did Democrats, they weren't as good being the fraudsters this time? Personally, what's your impression of this?
It actually proves to me that he should have won in 2020. And now that we had people watching, now that we had people not letting the polls shut down for 6 hours, and then we're going to start counting again. Now that none of that stuff got to happen this time.
Oh, so okay. So your conclusion
proves to me.
Okay, so your conclusion is because Trump won, it proves that the election was fair. And if he would have lost today, the election would have been unfair again.
No, nothing nefarious went on this time. We're not talking about shutting the polls down. We're not talking about Trump was ahead at midnight and then he's not ahead.
But
we counted all the way through.
But Brian,
and guess who won?
But that didn't happen there, and we did pause voting in a couple of places. We did have polling places closed down because of bomb threats, and there was one in Milwaukee that stopped the counting, reset the machines, and then counted the ballots again. So the idea that there wasn't stops and starts and there wasn't anything stopping these counts, I think is a little bit disingenuous. We did have disruptions in this one. I'm just curious, and this is what I'm kind of going for, is I believe, just like Trump believes, that if he wins, he says it's fair. And if he loses, he says it's unfair. It has very little to do with the actual fairness inside of the electoral system. It just has to do with whether or not he wins.
Well, and that's your conclusion, Billy. But
Yeah,
we didn't have the nefarious things that went on last time, and guess what? The outcome was different.
But we had bomb threats at several polling places in Georgia that shut them down for a while.
Right.
That's nefarious.
Well, I mean, not on the level of last election. But you know what? We don't have to talk about it anymore because Trump got the last laugh. So we don't have to talk about it anymore.
All right, Brian Arvada, appreciate the call. We're going to continue through our calls here. Let's go to Johnny up in just a second, but I do want to talk to you all about Mountain High Appliance. They've cooked up some sizzling deals for your kitchen now for a limited time. Receive up to a $1,500 mail-in rebate with the purchase of qualifying Bosch appliances. Enjoy the Mountain High Appliance price match guarantee and special financing options. Visit one of their 4 locations for all the details and upgrade your kitchen with Bosch appliances in Denver at East 64th, Littleton, Louisville, and Glenwood Springs. Mountain High Appliance. Experience the difference. Look, with all the holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah coming up, you could redo your kitchen with new appliances and, man, wow everybody and enjoy that time with your family. Check out Mountain High Appliance. All right, let's go, Johnny. Johnny, Denver. Good morning, Johnny.
Yeah. Now, for some reason, I don't know if I won HD5 or lost or how much I lost by, because the news seems to skip over it and I can't Google it, but I guess I'll find out later in the day. I was listening to some FM, because sometimes I like to go and listen to the FM quality. So I go over to NPR, I'm listening to Trump's acceptance speech, and then this lady, her name is Larazi, she's an African-American lady, and she cuts in when he says he won the popular vote. He says, it has not been verified that Trump has won the popular vote. I'm thinking like, shut up. And I just
that's a miscellaneous fact check. That's not needed there. You're right.
I mean, and it's something they desperately need to hold on to, right? Because they want to argue that the system is rigged. The Electoral College is, prevents the true winner from assuming office. And it's a good reminder, and Mike Rosen brought this up yesterday with Peter Boyles, that we don't actually have a national popular vote. You have states that vote based upon, kind of popular vote, but we don't elect our presidents based upon national popular vote.
Now, I got to ask Billy this. I don't know if this is fascist or not.
Yeah, what?
I want RP. What is this? That news station that we fund. Can we defund that? Is that being
NPR?
Fascist? Yeah, NPR. Is that being fascist?
Well, here's the thing: is you can. It's not deemed fascist. You can defund it, but you wouldn't take it off the air because
I don't
because
care.
a majority.
Oh,
I know, but a majority of the funding they get is from private donations. So there would be a few stations, and some of the outreach and things that they do would be harmed. And I understand that most people don't like NPR. The only thing I will say is they still do the best long form news reporting, hands down, in America. Nobody else is even close on the radio for doing what they do on reporting. And I'm talking about taking it outside of the realm of politics. When they do a report about what is going on in this region in the government inside of Africa, or they're doing something that's going on in Venezuela, that is not necessarily through a political bend. But the stories they tell, nobody else tells those stories. I disagree with them at times on their political bend. And one of the things that I have been very critical of NPR on has been their coverage of the Israel-Hamas conflict. They have spent way too much time giving us the stories from Gaza and very, very little time giving us enough stories from Israel. I've been very critical on that one. I can see, while their reports are solid, there's where I can see their politics coming in and making them choose certain stories and highlighting them more than others. There should be a balance, in my opinion, on those stories, and they're not even close. Not even close on that one.
Right, right. Okay, I just didn't know if I was being prejudiced by saying defund those guys. But...
No, that is not. That is not. That's a fair choice, Johnny. And Elon Musk might be able to make those choices. We'll see.
Oh, cut it out. That's an easy one. Plus, February 1st, I expect the Department of Education to be closed down. Johnny, I really appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Johnny's line will be open 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. Here's an interesting text. I'd love to hear if other people are seeing this as well. Teachers calling in sick because of a mental health day today. Some people are reporting that.
Oh, it could happen. Yeah, but it could happen for a variety of reasons. It could be hangover reasons. It couldn't just be mental health. I mean, there's a whole lot of reasons. and the other one is, and this is what I got to tell you, is that the other one is, and I was talking to a friend yesterday that works in education, and they were lamenting how, again, I hate to say this, but some of your kids are monsters. Absolute freaking monsters. And this person having to deal with a child that is in third grade in her class that has now kicked a third student in the body forcefully during class. Not recess, not gym, coming over, and while the person is over lining up for something, person comes over, kicks the other kid directly in the chest and sends them flying back against the wall. Third time. Some of your kids are monsters. Oh, so it's hard for teachers to deal with that.
I've coached every sports, dozens and dozens and dozens of teams. I can tell you this from a lot of experience. It almost always 100% comes down to the parents.
And here's the problem. And here's the problem with that we have in the educational system.
We just dump them in the schools.
Yeah, we do. We dump them in the schools. And here's the thing.
You take care of them.
That problem kid, what happens when you call the parents?
Oh, yeah. No,
they don't care to begin with.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and in part, the kid is acting out because the parents aren't paying attention.
Wow,
in part, the acting
responsibility.
But what do you do? What do you do to the parent? You can't put them in jail or anything because that's not going to help the kid.
But we can culturally shame them.
That's the problem is, what do you do? How do you possibly change this? And that's part of the issue. But then again, we need to focus on Trump and the big win today. We need to solve the election. The education problems are going to wait. We can talk about
if you're noticing teachers are calling in sick for a mental health day. I wonder how that safe space is at CU Denver.
Probably full. Probably a line outside like voting yesterday.
Let's make sure we forgive their student debt. All right. Did you wake up with joint pain? Does it hurt when you do even the most routine physical activity? Have they told you it's time for knee or hip replacement surgery? Stop what you're doing and listen. You deserve a life of comfort and ease with no surgery and no medications. At QC Kinetics, they can get you there. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative cellular treatments for joint pain. This is an all-natural approach that harnesses your body's own healing properties to treat the root cause of your arthritic pain. Everybody's talking about this now, and it's so cutting edge. The protocols developed by QC Kinetics are life-changing for so many people. Tens of thousands of satisfied patients, including Joel in our office here, playing more golf than he's ever played before. Get up skiing, get a chance to go hunting, all that stuff you want to do, and gets harder as you get older. You can have real lasting relief from chronic joint pain without drugs, without surgery, and without downtime. Discover your options with advanced regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. The consultation is absolutely free. 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986 with locations in Aurora, Superior, Highlands Ranch, and the Springs. All right, let's get to Ron and Greeley. Good morning, Ron. What do you think of last night's election results?
Morning.
Morning, boys. Yeah, I feel like a hangover. I didn't drink anything, but man, when you stay up late, get a little sleep, you get that feel. But wow, what a rush! It was exciting. It was fantastic. As far as the voting, one of the things that Laura Trump did, she hired 5,000 attorneys. They were on the ready nationwide. They weren't horsing around. They were making sure that everything stayed fair. So you've got that. As far as...
Yeah, Ron, I want to talk about aspects of that too. I was wondering how it was going to go because Donald Trump this was his third presidential election. And how willing was he to get down into the nitty gritty in order to deliver a victory? And I mean nitty gritty in a few different ways: voter registration drives, a voter turnout, ballot harvesting, legal ballot harvesting, having legal teams. I mean, fighting this out on the ground in a way that no Republican presidential candidate, I think, ever has. Romney wasn't there. I think 16 was kind of a surprise. 20, they got caught off guard by how powerful the Dem operation was on the ground. And so Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, Donald Trump show up and build the operation to actually deliver victories on the ground. And they did so. And I think that's to their credit.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it's they got to see how the operation happened the first time. Now, I know Billy, his belief on everything, but everybody knows there was something going on. To what level, okay.
What do you mean by
that?
that?
Could be arguable. Well, as far as, everybody admits that every election has some shady stuff going on. That true or false?
Yeah, that's true. And that would include the last one. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, as far as the last one, it was probably heightened more. To what level? That's going to be arguable nonstop. The Dems are going to say not as bad as you think. The Republicans are going to say absolutely. The Independents, which I am, is going to say, hey, it sure looks. Whenever I see somebody blacking out windows, that didn't happen this year, did it?
Well, here's the thing. But do you know why those windows were blacked out, Ron? Do you remember the story?
I
believe that was Philly.
Story.
I believe that was Philly, and I believe it's Philly. I may have the city wrong. The reason they put paper up on the windows is because there was a crowd outside chanting at them and yelling at them to stop counting the votes. Everybody Ron, hang on a sec. Everybody that was an official observer was still inside the room. They didn't block off the view of anybody that was authorized to be there or as a viewer that was authorized by a party. That was just to make sure that the crowd outside the windows would stop banging on the windows and acting like fools. That's what that was, honestly. Yeah. That's legitimately what the story was.
Well, and I do remember that there were people that were in the rooms that were denied being able to get close to the count. Whether it was in that room or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that's incorrect too, though. But that's incorrect too because it was based on the rules that were there at the time. Nobody said you have to stand further away than you were required to, and in some states they changed the rules onto how close those people could be. But all of that was done not to break or bend the rules at all. All of those were done inside the existing rules at the time.
But I do think there's a really important lesson for Republicans in all this. So if you remember 2022. We all fought against the way the Democrats had written the rules of the elections. We all said, we're not going to do mail-in ballots. I am going to show up on election day and I'm going to vote in person, right? And then we got lost. Then we lost. There was no red tsunami, none of that stuff in 2022. So then I think a lot of this led by guys like Charlie Kirk said, all right, these are the way the rules are written. We don't like them, but the Democrats have gotten, ballot harvesting and everybody gets a mail-in ballot. If those are the ways the rules are written, we're going to have to play by those rules, and let's go out there and run a superior operation than the Democrats do. And I was wondering how it was all going to play out. Was it all just kind of, we hope we can achieve it, or maybe this was going to be the start of the way Republicans could start to fight back on ground game superiority? And I think they demonstrated. And I go back to voter registration operations in Pennsylvania and then get out the vote and ballot harvesting operations. Republicans are demonstrating that they can play the game if not better than the Democrats can on the ground. And that's huge for future elections.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no question. Now, shifting gears here real quick. Last night when I was watching it was PBD that I was watching this on, and a lot of his people that were on the stage were saying, which makes sense, we cannot let those Republican haters back in, like Cheney. We can't let her come waltzing. Oh, hey, everything's good. Sorry about that. We're just trying to do what I had to do. Go ahead and let me back in. We can't do that. We got to remember those that were doing the negative shouting, not to the point of level of hate, but it's like, you know what? Cool. You're forgiven, whatever, but you're not coming in the circle again.
And I think pride will actually keep them out. I think they bet so much, whether it's Dick Wadhams, Liz Cheney, on the idea that Trump was destroying the Republican Party. And lo and behold, he delivers a major victory and greater coalition, greater cross race appeal than the previous generation of Republicans were able to. I think it's going to be pride that keeps them from ever coming in. Ron, we're just out of time. I really appreciate the call. Ron's line will be open. We'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail when you can get what you want at 50% off? Just go to RockyMountainBargains.com and save. Here's this week's featured item.
A Keurig K Supreme Plus Smart Serve Coffee Maker valued at $200. Get it now for half price.
Get it now at RockyMountainBargains.com for 50% off. RockyMountainBargains.com, where you always pay half price. Restrictions apply. Go to RockyMountainBargains.com for complete details.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show, providing all the election analysis that you need. We're going to turn here into the states. I'm scrolling through this, Bill. I think every single judge was retained.
Really? That is surprising.
You remember they had
Why?
the one that...
the one that wasn't recommended.
Right,
the one.
right. There was
the one. Yeah.
I'm not seeing a single judge where the no is higher. There's some that are close. There's one that's really close, and I think it's Angela Roth was the one that was maybe not encouraged to... I'm going to look up her evaluation here. Yeah, she was do not meet. She was the one. Angela Roth was the one that out of all the judges where the Judicial Retention Board was like, does not meet performance standards.
Yeah, that's weird.
And she won retention by 200 votes out of 22,000. So I don't know what to do about the judges. Like, I got so many messages about that from folks. Thanks for the ballot guide, but please help us deal with these judges. And I was like, I can't, I'm not an attorney. I don't know any of them. Probably just vote no. But if you vote no on all of them, Jared Polis's are going to appoint new ones. So you're kind of darned if you do and darned if you don't. But
Yeah,
the
that's a
fact
really hard
that
one.
we don't have a good way to evaluate them, and even when we come up with ones that were like, no, do not retain these, and they still win, I don't even know what the point is.
Yeah. And the problem for me is how you possibly evaluate them. That's the really weird part in the entire thing is how could an average voter amass enough information to make an educated choice on the judges? However, I'm not saying that I don't want the ability to vote on them. I do like
Right.
having that agency, but it seems really, really weird. In fact, I'm of the opinion that maybe what we should just do is have a day downtown and set up an obstacle course and just watch them run an obstacle course and we choose who wins.
Yeah, right.
'Cause that's about as logical as any of the rest of us making a choice. And at least then we'd get to watch them do funny stuff. At least then we get something out of it. So that's my proposal.
Used to be an organization run by Matt Arnold called Clear the Bench. I don't think it ever had much funding, but they tried to provide some type of judicial review to get the progressives off. But in a state that's so dominated, and I pointed this out in my letter to Coloradans, we've had one Republican governor in 49 years.
Yep, exactly.
So
Yeah.
all the judges, but now there's going to be some accountability heading their way.
Yes, there is. That thing won. That ballot initiative won. And that was fantastic.
That
Yeah.
was H, right?
I think so. Again,
Let me pull that
didn't-
up.
yeah.
Amendment H. Shall there be an amendment to the Colorado Constitution concerning judicial discipline? So we keep all the judges, and then we vote 72-27 to create an independent agency to better review them.
That is interesting.
You know, logical consistency is not always there with the voters. But yeah, they want a better accountability with the judges, but we're going to keep all the ones that are there, even the ones that we don't think are doing a good job. But let me tell you who is doing a good job, especially on a day like today, when it's that cold, that snowy, that rainy outside. You better thank God you have a good roof. And if you don't, your first call this morning needs to be to Colorado's Best Roofing. If you're like me, you know that living in Colorado means dealing with unpredictable weather, hail, snow, heavy winds, you name it. We've got it. That's why you need a roofing company you can trust. And that's Colorado's Best Roofing. They're local, family-owned, and have served the Denver area for over 12 years. They understand our unique climate and know how to build a roof that lasts. Whether you need a repair after a storm or a whole new roof, Colorado's Best Roofing has got you covered. And here's what I really love. They offer a free, no-obligation inspection. They'll come out, take a look, and give you an honest assessment. No pressure, no gimmicks, just straight talk from the pros. Plus, they work with your insurance company to make sure you get the coverage you deserve. So don't wait until the next big storm hits. Give Colorado's Best Roofing a call at 303-797-7663 or visit them at roofingcolorado.com. That's 303-797-7663 or roofingcolorado.com. Trust the best. Colorado's Best Roofing. I see we got Dave Williams calling in.
Yes, we do.
We got to go to a break. Can he hang through the break?
Yes, I asked him to. Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll go to the break, connect with Dave Williams, chairman of the Colorado Republican Party. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail when you can get what you want at 50% off? Just go to RockyMountainBargains.com and save. Here's this week's featured item.
A Keurig K Supreme Plus Smart Serve Coffee Maker valued at $200. Get it now for half price.
Get it now at RockyMountainBargains.com for 50% off. RockyMountainBargains.com, where you always pay half price. Restrictions apply. Go to RockyMountainBargains.com for complete details.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Chairman of the Colorado Republican Party is joining us. Good morning, Dave Williams. Tell me about the night you had.
Well, it was certainly historic. I mean, I think we all felt good going into the election night from the internals that I was provided from the national campaign and the RNC. I was feeling good. I couldn't necessarily disclose everything that I knew because, you know, obviously they wanted to keep a lid on it and not somehow encourage the Democrats to fight harder. But, you know, by a certain point, you saw the scales tipping in Donald Trump's favor, and I think this is going to be one of the most historic nights we've ever seen. And Donald Trump's going to go down as one of the most consequential presidents our country has ever had occupy the White House.
Yeah, I want to get your thoughts on how he's changed the Republican Party. Look, I've been a Republican since the very first vote. I've supported McCain. I've supported Romney. I'm just a party guy. I go along and I try to get the R elected, even if I'm not fully with them on some things. But this seems to be a seismic shift from the days of Bush, McCain, Romney, that Donald Trump was able to build a coalition, especially cross-racially, that those guys never could have.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and we're going to be analyzing this for years to come. But I remember back after John McCain lost, and then when Mitt Romney also lost to Obama, there was a lot of soul searching. You know, we were trying to figure out, okay, well, how are we going to put together, you know, a winning coalition in the years to come? And Donald Trump did it in 2016. And he did it now in 2024. And you can see those numbers. I mean, he's had historic gains among Black Americans, among Latinos, among working class, you know, union type. You know, we didn't necessarily win the majority. Democrats are still, you know, going to be able to say that they have the majority of those demographics, but we've cut into them so deep that it looks like that Donald Trump's not only going to have a landslide victory in the Electoral College, but also going to take the popular vote. Those are things that I think we're going to have to build on in 2026, and then of course 2028 when we, you know, choose the next president. And it's all thanks to Donald Trump. He's figured it out, and he's helping the Republican Party enter into this new realignment that is absolutely taking place.
I want to ask you about how Colorado Republicans performed last night. Can you give us some insight into the House and Senate?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. We didn't lose. Like, if you look at the past 3 election cycles, we suffered historic losses to the point where the Democrats really massively increased their legislative majorities. But we maintained, definitely, and we're in a position to actually see an increase in the state legislature with Ryan Gonzalez in House District 50. So we'll be sending out more information on that, because we do need to help that candidate cure ballots so that we can ensure his victory. He's only up by, I think, a little under 30 votes, right? So it's going to be important for the party and any volunteers to ensure that we add to the mighty 19 and make it the mighty 20. Democrats do have a lot to be happy about here in Colorado, no question, but we stopped the bleeding. And we actually saw some great gains in the ballot initiative sector as well. We defeated ranked choice voting, which was huge. That allows the party to still potentially put nominees in 2026 and beyond who can go on and have success and not be defeated by another multi-million-dollar left-wing Democrat candidate like Jared Polis. We were able to expand upon tax relief, property tax relief for disabled veterans, and we defeated the hunting prohibition that was offered up. So it wasn't a bad night. It wasn't the type of night that we've grown accustomed to see, especially when you compare it to the last 3 election cycles. There's a lot of work to be done, but I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that if we can come together, unify, and build on these successes, that we can turn Colorado around in the next few election cycles.
Well, I think you saw part of the roadmap laid out with Scott Pressler and voter registration outreach. When we look at what happened in Pennsylvania, does that become the roadmap for turning Colorado around? On the ground, day after day, work to recruit Republicans?
Yeah, that's going to be a key component. One of the challenges that we've had in Colorado is that people have voted with their feet. A lot of good conservative right-leaning individuals that may not have been registered with the party, they've left because Jared Polis and all the other Democrats have ruined the state. So we got to contend with that. But as people come in, and as Donald Trump and the incoming administration and coalition he's brought together, as they continue to expose what the Democrats are about, that gives us an opportunity to convince unaffiliated folks to come our way. I think the other challenge that we also contend with registration is that we kind of have automatic registration that defaults voters into the unaffiliated category. So we definitely have to go to those people and convert them and make the case that, hey, Donald Trump's winning party is the path forward for Colorado.
Well, I think Republicans proved in this election that you can go to the ground, you can win at the ground level, and it impacts the nation. Dave Williams, chairman of the Colorado Republican Party, thanks so much for taking time to join us. We'll continue with the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this historic day. Donald J. Trump elected president, number 45 and number 47. I love this headline from Axios, the big red shock. They write, former President Trump engineered the most astonishing, gravity-defying comeback in the history of American politics. This is a progressive news outlet writing this. Trump won Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina, and leads in 3 other swing states, Michigan, Arizona, and Nevada. Networks in the AP declared him president-elect just after 5:30 a.m. Eastern time when he carried Wisconsin, demolishing the blue wall. Why does it matter? Well, across the country, across all demographics, the results tell the same story. Donald Trump improved his margins from 2020 and assembled the most diverse GOP coalition in decades. The 2024 election delivered a historic repudiation of Democratic rule that's likely to eclipse Trump's upset victory over Hillary Clinton in 2016. Trump won a decisive Democratic mandate to return to the White House, making him unambiguously one of the most transcendent political figures of our time. Whoo, boy, that's a lot. They continued. Trump built a multiracial juggernaut of a coalition, including a surge in Latino support that could fundamentally reorient American politics for generations. We have dedicated the entire show today to getting your reactions. Plus, Billy and I got about 90 minutes of sleep last night, so the whole thing is spinning around for us.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know what time it is. It kind of feels like 10 p.m. to me.
Oh, it does. I have no idea. I keep looking at the clock. It's that time.
Yeah,
it's
right.
8:02. Oh, that's surprising.
Are you thrilled? Are you disappointed? Is this a great direction for the country? Are we going to spiral out of control and now Russia's going to take over Ukraine? Where do you fall on all this stuff? Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line if you can't get through, 720-819-5115. Let's check in on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. Hey, can I be the first to predict that in 2028 it'll be Vance and Gabbard as the winners?
I would love that. I think we've got to figure out a way to get Tulsi to the top of the ticket. Vance, I mean, did you watch the acceptance speech last night where he was just loving on Vance, and he's like, most people that work for me are like, oh gosh, boss, I don't know if I want to go on MSNBC, CNN, and then Vance was like, I'll do it. And he just goes on there and just destroys them every time.
Them. His interviews were like last night's election, just dominating. 25 and snowy and slick in Denver. So be careful out there. Expecting a high of 35 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story. Well, DJT is the president-elect. He dominated despite the lawfare lies, hoaxes, and assassination attempts, the smears and omission of the truth about his opponent. He ran against not one, but remember, 2 candidates. The people have spoken.
Our country has never seen before nothing like this. I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day, I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve. This will truly be the golden age of America. That's what we have to have.
Nobody deserves this more than him, and nobody deserves this more than his family does. This is what happens when the machine comes after you. What you've seen over the last several years, this is what it looks like. Couldn't stop him. He keeps going forward. He doesn't quit. He's the most resilient, hardworking man I've ever met in my life. His family are incredible people. This is karma, ladies and gentlemen. He deserves this. They deserve it as a family.
Kamala Khan expected to speak this morning. She'll make remarks at her alma mater, Howard University. Scott Jennings, he's been incredible on CNN.
I also feel like this election, as we sit here and pour over this tonight, is something of an indictment of the political information complex. I mean, we've been sitting around here for the last couple of weeks, and the story that was portrayed was not true. I mean, we were told Puerto Rico was going to change the election. Liz Cheney, Nikki Haley voters, women lying to their husbands. Before that, it was Tim Walz and the camo hats. Night after night after night, we were told all these things and gimmicks were going to somehow push Harris over the line. And we were just ignoring the fundamentals. Inflation, people feeling like that they were barely able to tread water at best. That was the fundamentals of the election.
One of our patriotic listeners, Brian.
It's a glorious day in America, and I'm playing Lee Greenwood all morning. You know, I'm not an I told you so guy because I've had that go the other way for me. This is one time the haters, I told you so. There was a lot of haters along the way.
The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
Well, isn't that special?
Middle-class family. She worked at McDonald's when.
Oh, no, she didn't. Let's blow that one out, too.
Dude, has she conceded yet?
No, I think it's coming up here pretty soon. I've been trying to track it here.
To be fair, though,
yeah.
Donald Trump hasn't conceded from 2020. So to be fair,
oh yes, he did.
No,
yes,
he didn't.
He did.
No, he never came out. He never came out and said he lost. He never conceded.
For her to
did.
come out
No,
and for the Democrats, after all the grief they've given Republicans, to not concede.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can throw all the rocks you wanted her, she doesn't. But again, asking the morning before, morning after, whether or not she's done it yet is a fair question. But we're still waiting 4 years.
Well,
for
he
their due
gave
just
it.
one.
He gave it up peacefully. He didn't,
There's some
try to walk back in there.
There are some law enforcement people that worked at the Capitol January 6th that would disagree with that.
Yes, and there were some that were undercover who would agree with that. And there were
Undercover
some
what?
who,
I don't understand what you mean by
well,
that.
there were people who were working for the government who were instigating that.
No, nothing's never been proven or shown.
Oh, there's plenty of that. I'll
No,
send
there
it
isn't.
to you tonight.
Yeah, go right
I'll
ahead.
send you the link.
None of that's been proven.
It's 90 minutes of great video. We know, everybody knows what's going on. I mean, that thing was set up. If they would have had the National Guard there and Pelosi would have done her thing.
Pelosi's not in charge of the National Guard.
Well, they could have.
Wasn't she on camera
Yeah, she
literally
was.
saying we should have gotten? I should have gotten more
She
National
said
Guards.
it. She's on the video. It was in the video. See, here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna ruin this newscast right now. Here's the thing. People have their eyes open, ears open, and the woke thing is gone. People don't care about all the garbage that we went through 8 years ago. So now people are engaged. There were people watching, overseeing, staying awake, and not allowing the left to do their dirty tricks. And everybody knows it happened. You don't have evidence, or I need evidence. I need to see evidence. Okay, we got evidence. We've got video. We've got this. We've got that. We can show you. I'll give you the links. Whatever. Everybody knows what happened. But people are tired of the woke garbage that went on and the kindness of the people on the right. And that's the bottom line. And the laws and the lies and the smearing and the lawfare, all that stuff. We know what happened. They try to instigate. They did instigate it, and they got people who shouldn't have been, running in the Capitol and doing all that. It was horrible. Shouldn't have done it. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
but,
they never showed anybody that instigated. If that's okay.
Well, I'll show it to you. Ray
Go
Epps
right
is
ahead.
a good example.
No, Ray Epps isn't part of the FBI, nor did he instigate it.
Really? Then why
Yes.
was he on the FBI's most wanted list, and all of a sudden he disappears?
Because he talked to them.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he did. He talked to him several times, including an in-person interview. He even has testimony that's been released.
What he
none
did
of it, none
was
of it showing.
what he did was far worse than half those people who were in prison.
I really don't want to do this morning, but okay, what did he do? We'll just go do this for a sec. What did he do?
Well, he encouraged people to go into the Capitol.
He said. And how many times did he say it? Once the day of, and once the day before.
He probably said it 5 or 6 times on video.
No, we haven't.
This is the whole thing with him just weird. Like you have a guy walking around going, "We're all gonna go into the Capitol."
Right.
Come on.
I mean, he had a
MAGA.
He had a MAGA hat on. Why isn't he in prison? He didn't do that. He did twice as much as half those people.
He didn't go into the Capitol. All of that is in a testimony that you can read that he gave under oath. You can read all this. This is it. And again, the FBI has investigated him. The FBI cleared him. He did talk to the FBI. He was on the list. This is a conspiracy theory.
Guy.
No, it's not.
Do you think he was a conservative? You think he was a Trump supporter?
I think he was a conservative and a Trump supporter. Yes, I do. And that's why he was there. Yeah.
Okay.
I know, Blake, but nothing's been shown that he wasn't. And in his own words, he's come out and said that he was. So that's it.
Well, of course he did.
Okay. See, that's it. Okay, because you've come to a conclusion.
I've watched 90 minutes of that's the conclusion that I come to. He should be in jail then. Put him in jail. If he's a MAGA supporter, put him in jail.
They don't put all MAGA supporters. I'm going to step out of this. I'm derailing the news. I'm going to step out of this. We're just going to spin in circles. And this is not the day to do this. But Ray Epps is not an FBI informant. And that's crap. And it's been proven to be wrong. But I'm looking forward to what you sent me.
Video that says otherwise.
Never a dull moment on the Jeff and Bill Show.
I love it.
With Blake.
I love it. Okay, here. Well, no, let me see. Okay. I'll just blow myself up.
Just play the screaming some more.
23 in North Glen, 24 in Englewood, 25 in Denver. And I'll clear with this one. Jeff and Bill, continue.
I'm charging you extra. The news won't show that there's people out here in the hood or different areas rocking with Trump. We come out here, we can't even keep these things in hand. They taking them. Yeah, we with Trump. Make America great again. Trump it up. Yeah.
Blake
A
Olson,
winter weather advisory
710 KNUS
is in effect through 11 o'clock tonight. Occasional periods of snow, brisk and cold north winds, temperatures only near 30 today. Some additional snow accumulations will be possible as light snow can linger into early tonight. Temperatures will be down to near 20. Cloudy and cold Thursday, a few flurries Thursday night, lows in the lower 20s. Cloudy Friday, highs upper 30s, snow Friday night and Saturday and colder. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free, no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We got jam-packed phone lines as we all respond to the earthquake that took place last night. Donald Trump, number 45, number 47, Republicans in control of the Senate, still looking at the House, and still no Harris remarks. What's going on? What are they waiting on? Let's get your thoughts. Frank, Denver, good morning, Frank.
Hey, thank you guys for your extra effort. I know you must be very tired this morning, both of you. I enjoyed that program last night with Peter. Thought they had a lot of different voices and everything. I actually called in late after you guys. I was the last caller and spoke to Ted, and I actually asked him a couple of questions. One question was, Ted, now that this looks like it's decided in favor of Trump, do you have any ideas about what should be done when an administration or some alphabet groups start using lawfare against an opponent?
Yeah.
Is it going to take legislation? Is it going to take a special appointee counsel / overseer at all times to keep our different opposing parties in line? Because that was a point I was trying to make to him, that,
yeah,
and this is also the conciliatory point to make to the other people in America, that you could say to a Democrat, you know how helpless you felt when the Supreme Court changed the decision on Roe versus Wade. Well, we feel the same way when you see 20 million people coming across illegally. And when lawfare is used, we feel inappropriately against the opposite side. So how do we keep our American government, that to be a weakness that we revealed in our system, balanced to not let those kind of things happen, and to have you guys, both parties, participate in the democratic process in the Congress to sort these things out, which is your role. And he didn't really have an answer. He said, I think it's, I suggested, is it just going to take administration to administration changes? He kind of went along with that.
Well, look, it wasn't just Donald Trump who faced lawfare. There's a lot of people around him and a lot of people in conservative leadership positions in this country that were drugged through IRS audits, investigations around maybe their connections with Donald Trump, all that stuff. I mean, it was very clear that the Biden administration went not just after Donald Trump, but the entire leadership establishment of the conservative movement. And there were conversations going back years ago going, well, how do we fight this? Does it have to be fire versus fire? Do we need to make it? Because we're out there going, hey, they're targeting us, and it's not stopping them. So do we need to be just as aggressive when we get into power to stop this from continuing? Do they need to get a little taste of their own medicine? I'm not so sure they need to, because I think one of the messages that was communicated last night, and there was a lot of messages that came from last night, but one of the key ones was when you do this type of thing to people, the American people don't put up with it. They're not going to continue to allow what should be the blind lady of justice to be used as a tool to go after your political opponents. And there was a self-correction last night. I pray that the Democrats are sober enough to look at what they've done and go, well, maybe it's not the best use of the Department of Justice in regards to a political strategy.
I think you're right. I think maybe the general run of Democrats will maybe understand that, but there is an element in their party that is driven, and they will always persist. And one of your other channel hosts, Jesse Kelly, talks about a left-leaning ratchet that they never give up. They just keep ratcheting it to the left. And I think that's a sad thing, and it takes a big correction like this. And even then, it was only a correction of a few more points. But so Americans need to really step back and think about, what are we doing to our country? We're playing into the left's hands, and whatever you want to call them, socialist, communist, or whatever, but we're destroying what is some of the beauty of America over these petty arguments that are the little details, and we're missing the big picture of the direction that America should be taking.
Frank, very wise words from you. Frank from Denver, really appreciate the call.
Cool.
Frank's line will be open 303-696-1971. Did you know that last year, over 49% of homes listed did not sell with the real estate agent who took the initial listing? This cost home sellers thousands of dollars in lower offers and painful holding costs. Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team of Keller Williams have a track record of selling homes fast and get their home sellers 6.1% more money on average, netting their sellers $30,500 more in their pocket. They do this using their proven proprietary systems and guarantees. Go with the team that doesn't just make empty promises, but actually can provide proof of their experience and track record of getting homes sold for top dollar. Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team is so confident in the service they provide and the results they get you that if you're not happy, you can cancel at any time, no cost to you. This is their cancellation promise. Call 833-301-SOLD, 833-301-SOLD, or visit gayasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE hasthebuyers.com, especially if you're a conservative and you looked at last night's Colorado results and you're like, I'm out of here, which I don't encourage you to do. But if you need to, Gay Ribble is the one to sell your home. All right, let's go to Jacqueline, Sydney. Good morning, Jacqueline. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Morning.
Good morning, fellas. It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, I did work the election up here yesterday, and we had record numbers of young people that came in to vote, and they voted for the first time. But I did tune in from time to time and listen through the night, and I listened to Peter. I've got to say this, the American people wasn't having any of it. And Dwayne, who just called, he's absolutely right. We want back our American values. We want strong homes. We want strong economy. We want to raise our children safe and go to school to learn, not to be taught something that's completely not appropriate. But we want that back. And I do think that the country is headed in the right decision, in the right direction, because we need these agencies to be cleaned up. The Department of Human Services is just a terrible joke. HUD, Housing and Urban Development. These are programs that the American taxpayer pays for, and money is squandered so badly. But the number one issue people voted on yesterday was immigration. Everybody, they were not going to fundamentally remake the United States of America.
Now, I think that's interesting. I do believe that the Democrats messed up the immigration plan issue from Jump Street. They messed it up all the way going back to Kamala Harris not going and visiting the border, which gave conservative media some time and space to talk about how she was ignoring the problem. And they came to the table way too late on looking at it as far as an issue. I do, however, believe that the Republicans are also making a false assumption and false claims about it. But let's talk about this for a second, Jacqueline. Donald Trump says we have 22 million illegal aliens that were let into the country over the past 4 years by the Biden-Harris administration. How is he going to deport all of them? And what I'm looking for is the process, and most importantly, where's the money coming from?
Well, that's a good question. It can be done. It can be done. And, we're taking care of them. We're paying for all of this. American taxpayers, American people are, and we're not going to do that any longer. We cannot do that. When I see people from Colorado, and I've had phone calls last night from people from the Western Slope down to Otero County up to Sedgwick, and they're saying the same thing. Colorado doesn't want it. Now, I don't know how rural Colorado voted. I don't know. But people are fed up. They want these people gone. And we do not want to have to.
Jacqueline, how are we going to do it, and how are we going to pay for it? I understand what we want, but I want to be taller. I'm not going to ever get to be taller. What I'm curious about is Donald Trump, and I'm using his numbers. I believe the number is closer to 10 million, but he's claiming 22 million. How do we possibly deport 22 million illegals in the nation? I can't figure out the process.
It may take some time, but first, you're not going to tell. I'm not going to tell everybody how I would, where I'd put up my security cameras in my house. I'm not going to tell you where I keep my firearm. I'm not going to show my hand. If you play poker, which I'm sure you're probably very good at it, Bill.
Actually, Jacqueline, I suck at poker. I'm so bad. I'm really, really bad at it. I'm serious. I am so bad at it.
Okay, you're one of those Monopoly guys.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, we're announcing the new Jeff and Bill poker tournament.
But yeah, you will take me for every penny. I am so bad at it. But okay, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the thing of it is, it can be done, and I don't think Trump wants to come out and say how they're going to do it, because I know how I did it when I had to remove some from my rentals and how I've had to do that. It can be done. It might take a little time, but it's very easily done. The problem is our prisons and jails in this country are like Club Med when it comes to prisons in other countries, third world countries. And if they go to prison here, it's just, they get 3 hots and a cot, and they get money every month. They actually get a little paycheck every month for spending time in jail. So things can be changed very easily that way. They can be deported. These people will have to take them back, or I'm telling you, the sanction business, just the threat of that is all you need to have. Even if you don't even go through with it, it can be done. It can be done. But, people, I don't know how rural Colorado voted as far as Donald Trump. Do you have any idea? Was it rural Colorado that voted for him? Because I know everyone that I talked to did. Maybe the Denver area and the Front Range didn't, but did Colorado have a huge
pull
number
up
of
the
Republicans?
map here on the Secretary of State's website? Oh, look, there's some passwords here. Oh, no. Okay. Rural
Don't tell me what they are.
Rural Colorado went for Trump with the exception of kind of the western slope. So Garfield County along Rifle I-70 corridor there. Obviously all the ski towns, Aspen, Telluride, Durango, they all went for Harris. But the eastern slope, that's a big red map on the eastern side of the state.
Well, the next thing here to work on is getting rid of Polis. He's the guy that's got to go, and Colorado needs to get back.
Well, and I wanted to ask Ted Trimpa this yesterday if Polis is gearing up, because you know what today is? Today is the start of the 2028 presidential campaign on both sides. They're all gearing up for it, and Polis is going to be termed out in 26. He can't run again. He's done. So I think he's going to run for president, but he's really, really boring. So I don't know how he is going to do on a national stage. In fact, if you look at the DNC, they gave him like 3 minutes in a scripted speech. They gave Jason Crow a lot more time. Go ahead.
He was never vetted. Kamala Harris was never really vetted. Neither was Barack Obama. I don't know if any of you guys have been watching Candace Owens. She is just absolutely a sharpest gal. I'm telling you, she has it going. She has done some research just accidentally and has come up with some of the most alarming things about Kamala Harris and her connection actually back to Barack Obama. These are going back, and the hidden information on her supposedly father. It's just amazing. I mean, I've had people send me this from all over the country. These people are not being vetted. We don't know what we're getting. If you're a Democrat and you're a liberal, I guess you don't care. But I mean, if you've got children and you send them to school and you've got a family, you've got a grandmother in a nursing home. If you've got these things in your family, things and issues that you care about and that you want to see taken care of, then you cannot possibly go with this woke idea. I mean, they've shoved it on everybody now, and they found out it's not going to go anywhere on the American people. We're not taking it anymore.
Jacqueline, to your point, I think there's a lot of people that just didn't know Kamala Harris, and it was an anti-Trump vote that drove them to Kamala. But to this point, we talked about it on this show. Where was Kamala's dad in any of the national? He lives 2 miles from her house. They never talked about him. And yet, you know, every aspect of Donald Trump's personal life. Jacqueline, really appreciate the call. Billy, for those of folks that might be in pain today, is there an alternative?
Well, it's not an emotional pain. I'm talking about physical pain. I have been living my life in pain. I did a lot of dumb things when I was a kid. I had an undeveloped sense of fear, and I banged bruises and got myself into a couple of surgeries. And I thought, as you get older, you just live your life that way. That's how the older people in my life growing up, I saw them walking around and complaining about everything that hurts. So I thought this was just my turn. Then I met the team at Balance Wellspace. It doesn't have to be this way. They have literally changed my life in the last few months because I'm no longer living in daily pain. The difference is integrative medicine. At the Balance Wellspace offices in Lowry, right across from Hangar 2, plenty of parking, balancewellspace.com. When you walk in, you'll talk to the team. They will do a custom evaluation of you, talk to you about your goals and what hurts. Then they'll do the tests and then put together a custom pain plan just for you. And then they go to work. And the difference is integrative medicine. It was a brand new term for me. What it means is they offer trigger point injections, regenerative care, wave therapy, physical rehabilitation, neuropathic care, and chiropractic care all under one roof. Right now, you've got a medical team, but you're going from office to office to office. And they might be able to help you in certain areas. But you know what they're not doing? They're not discussing you as a whole person. They're not talking to you about what your goals are. And they're not working together to get you healthy and to stop feeling the pain. That's the difference at Balance Wellspace. You've got an entire medical team that is just focused on you, your needs, and you have all sorts of different modalities, including some cutting-edge Star Trek stuff that is non-invasive, that has to be seen to be believed. What they can do is nothing short of science fiction, but you've got to take the first step and talk to them so they can start working on you. BalanceWellspace.com. As we're talking right now, I'm regenerating the meniscus in my left knee. My right knee has been giving me problems for the last 2 weeks. It's an absolute mess. I'm going to go see Balance Wellspace next week, and we're going to talk about that as well. They can make a dramatic change in your life, but you have to take the first step. And that first step is by calling them. Talk to them at balancewellspace.com. You'll find the number there, balancewellspace.com. I want you to experience the change in your life that I have. They're the people I trust, and you can trust them too. Check him out at balancedwealthspace.com. And when you do, tell him you heard about him here on the Jeff and Bill Show, because boy, does that help us out, and we appreciate it.
Great to hear, Bill. We'll continue with your calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail when you can get what you want at 50% off? Just go to RockyMountainBargains.com and save. Here's this week's featured item.
A Keurig K Supreme Plus Smart Serve coffee maker valued at $200. Get it now for half price.
Get it now at RockyMountainBargains.com for 50% off. RockyMountainBargains.com, where you always pay half price. Restrictions apply. Go to RockyMountainBargains.com for complete details.
This is a good song for how I feel this morning. I'm in a place of like illusion and floating and happiness because Republicans don't win a lot. We just don't, especially in Colorado. But we got a good one last night. The nation is going to be going in a great direction. Now the work in Colorado needs to continue. Let's go to the phone lines. Joe Arvada, what do you think of last night?
Good morning, Jeff. There's so much to be learned from this election. And the people that got it wrong, open up your eyes and take a look at what you're seeing. The American people agree with yours truly. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Take a bow. Take a bow, Joe. No, I mean, look, this was a repudiation. They called, and this is important to point out, they called 71 million people garbage and equated the person they voted for last night to Hitler. Like
it is despicable.
And they do this every election. You remember when Walker Stapleton ran, and because something his great grandfather did, they wrap that around him. They do this every election. They have no policies to lead on. Where they are in total control, whether it's California, New York, Illinois, or Colorado, those states are in the ditch. And so when you put your hand up to run as a Republican, they just try to label you with everything they possibly can. You're a fascist. You're Hitler. Your supporters are racist. And it got repudiated big time, bigly, as DJT would say.
Yeah, I am going to get a new shirt. I'm a basket of deplorable garbage, and on the back, Nazi. But here's the thing. There's still work to be done. This election shows you, and I'm going to use somebody else's quote, what happens when you put your shoulder to the wheel.
I think Pennsylvania is the model. I think Scott Pressler, day after day, voter registration drives is the model.
Absolutely. Okay, first of all, though, it's not over yet. The best thing that Colorado patriots could do is help Kari Lake, because there's going to be a war for that Senate seat. It's not over. And let me just tell you, there were probably hundreds of thousands of illegals voting in Arizona. Don't tell me, Billy, that there weren't, because you don't know, because nobody's looking. Everybody's got the blinders on.
You think thousands of illegals voted in Arizona?
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of them. Then why isn't Kamala taking the state? Why isn't it a huge Kamala win? Because the assumption is, remember.
I have an answer.
I know, but hang on. The
Let me
assumption
answer your question.
Hang on. I want to enumerate everything for the audience as well, so they can follow us along this path. And what I'm saying, because the idea is that all the illegals vote for Kamala, and that's why they want to bring them in and sneak them in under the dark of night and fly them in planes and everything else and bring them in the swing states so they can swing the vote. So if you're saying hundreds of thousands of illegals voted in Arizona, which we don't have numbers showing that, why didn't Kamala win that run walking away?
And here's the answer. Because it was too big to rig. That's why.
Hang on a sec here, Jeff. Joe, help me understand this. Where did the extra hundreds of thousands of Trump voters come from? Because the population doesn't reflect that necessarily.
That is exactly what you should be asking. And that's why I say to you, there's a lot to be learned from this election.
So we have illegals voting for Trump.
I'm going to answer your question. Why don't you wait for the answer?
Hold on. I want to pause this, Joe.
I'm shocked.
I want you to take a second, because we got a VIP that's just called in. I want to go to her right now. Rose Puglisi. She's the House Minority Leader. She's the top Republican in the Colorado House. She leads the Mighty 19. Representative Puglisi, thanks so much for joining the Jeff and Bill show. What was it last night? Was it a good night for Republicans in Colorado?
A little bit of a nail biter. I'm still a little bit on pins and needles. We've got a couple of close races that we are still working through, but I am incredibly optimistic that the House will gain a couple of seats. So just pray. That's what I'm doing right now. And obviously we're helping kind of navigate those races.
Yeah. What are the races that we should be looking at?
So right now I am looking at House District 50 is incredibly close. I want to say it was 36 ballots are the difference right now.
Wow.
So Ryan Gonzalez is up. But those they're still counting ballots, so so that one's not finished yet. And then House District 16. So the House District 50 is the Greeley seat. Ryan Gonzalez versus Mary Young. We've got House District 16, which is Rebecca Kelsey versus Stephanie V. Hill in El Paso County, is also a close race that we're watching, and so we'll see what happens there. And then Dan Woog in House District 19, we're still watching his race as well. Weld is still counting ballots. So,
And he's
we'll
he's
see.
about a little less than 2,000 votes off there.
Yeah, that one's probably the highest stretch right now, but we are still watching because those ballots haven't all been counted. And as we know, Republicans love to vote in person on the last day. So we want to make sure every voice gets heard.
Talking with Rose Puglisi. She's the top Republican in the House of Representatives here in Colorado. So, Rose, if somebody wanted to get involved, if they want to help cure ballots, for instance, and close these gaps, is there a way they can connect with you?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. They can connect. I would say for Wells County, Hunter Rivera, who is the county chair out there, is helping to manage that for Ryan Gonzalez. So I would, push people that way. We have a couple of different contacts in El Paso. So if you are willing to help out there, Chris Garofalo runs Rebecca Kelsey's campaign, and she's been organizing. So, but people can always reach out to me, and I will get them in touch with the right people.
The election is not over. There's still efforts and opportunities to help Republicans get across the line. Now, Representative Puglisi, Minority Leader Puglisi, you've done a really good job of organizing the Mighty 19, having that strong voice in a supermajority in the House. The Democrats have done a little bit of cleaning house on their side. Tim Hernandez not even on the ballot. Elizabeth Epps, they're gone. They're going to be done here. Tell us what you think the Republicans should expect to face in this upcoming legislative session.
I think it's all going to depend on how many seats we gain. If we gain a couple of seats, we needed 3 to end the supermajority. We may or may not get there, but if we get close to 3, I think there's some great opportunities. I do think you have a more moderate Democratic caucus, which, could be potentially helpful. Although I still want to flag my concern around education. Some of the leaders on anti-choice movement are still in the legislature on the Democrat side. And so we want to make sure that we continue to fight for choice, especially charter schools, homeschool, and supporting our public schools, of course. So I think there might be some battles on the horizon that we'll all have to kind of unify around. But that's, I think depending on how many seats we gain and where we're at, that'll determine the makeup of committees and what opportunities we have. So there'll still be lots of opportunities for the conservative movement, for sure.
Talking to Rose Puglisi, she's House Minority Leader. Now, Rose, for many of us that grew up in Colorado native, we remember the Colorado of the 90s. We remember Republicans having control and the kind of Western nature of the state. It's become so progressive. What's your message to Republicans that look at the election last night? They see Donald Trump win. They see the U.S. Senate go to Republicans, likely the House to go to Republicans. It seems like the nation is embracing conservative Republican values. And then there's our state. And we're stuck here in a super minority, possibly not. Hopefully things change there. But it can sometimes be so discouraging. You seem to have found a way to be optimistic, to continue to fight for conservative values, even in a blue state. What's your message to conservatives looking at this landscape?
Well, I'm incredibly proud of the caliber of candidates who have stepped up and stepped out. I think we're going to continue to hone that and our messaging. What I think the National showed, and I still believe this in Colorado, that voters are tired of runaway inflation and reckless government spending. And I think that, a President Trump administration will help change the tide. President Trump is fighting for the working people. And I think if we continue to do that in Colorado and start reaching out, talking to people beyond our circles of influence, I think we're going to have a real opportunity. I mean, we saw that on Proposition HH. We were able to fight that back with a unified grassroots movement. So I think we still have great opportunities around fiscal issues. I still think education and school choice resonates across the aisle. So I think we'll have some opportunities as long as we stay unified. When conservatives unify, we win. And I think we just have to continue to work to unify conservatives.
That's fantastic. Great message from House Minority Leader Rose Puglisi. Continue to update us. We'll follow those 3 races that you talked to us about, and hopefully it turns a good direction. But Rose, you're doing a wonderful job in the House, And keep going with that mighty 19. Thank you for your encouraging words today.
Absolutely. Thank you all for having me on today.
Look, with all the work I've had done to my teeth, believe me, finding a good dentist makes all the difference. I'd like to tell you about Dr. Mike at Rocky Mountain Dental Group. He helps people like you and me look and feel amazing by providing the best dental care available. See for yourself all the 5-star reviews at RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. Here's one. Every single person in that office is delightful. Their knowledge and consultative approach to dental care is fantastic. We highly recommend to everyone we know. I know that visiting a dentist can be concerning to you. They offer sedation if you have any apprehension at all. Also, if your gums are receding, it's critical to address this issue promptly. Dr. Mike is a top-tier expert in the Chow pinhole surgical technique. This method requires no cutting, no sutures, and virtually no downtime. I've talked to some other dentists, and I asked them about what Dr. Mike does, and they're like, oh, no, Dr. Mike's like a whole nother level. This is like really good precision care. This isn't just a general dentist. This is next level. So you got to check out what he can do with the pinhole surgery because it's painless. Many clients go on to have other areas of the mouth treated as well. Schedule a free consultation with Dr. Mike. Call 303-233-1335 or visit RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. RockyMountainDentalGroup.com to book your free consultation today. All right, we got packed phone lines. We'll get to them. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail when you can get what you want at 50% off? Just go to RockyMountainBargains.com and save. Here's this week's featured item.
A Keurig K Supreme Plus Smart Serve Coffee Maker valued at $200. Get it now for half price.
Get it now at RockyMountainBargains.com for 50% off. RockyMountainBargains.com, where you always pay half price. Restrictions apply. Go to RockyMountainBargains.com for complete details.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking all things elections after the seismic quakes that took place last night. Donald Trump elected to a second term. Let's go back to Joe in Arvada. Joe and Billy were just getting going.
Yeah, he was going to tell us about all the illegals voting for Trump in Arizona. Okay,
well,
so tell us the story.
But I'd like to congratulate Elon Musk and also Donald Trump for their investment in Twitter and also in Truth Social. They are headed on a rocket ride. Thank you.
Let's see what happens. I'm curious because I actually hold
Truth Social's 38.99 right now. It's up 14.86%.
And I hold Truth Social stock. I know that's a shock to a lot of people, but I got one share. I bought one share just because yeah. And
I did too.
awesome.
But I
Billy,
said I
love
was going to
that.
sell no matter what happened today, and I've set my sale price at $40.
Yeah, I'm going to ride this for a while because I think that it depends on his communication through Twitter. What happens there? Because I still think the more he communicates on Twitter, the more he devalues Truth Social. And if he's smart, he would focus everything now he's back in the White House onto Truth Social. And I think then the stock price explodes. But that's just me, and I'm an idiot. But yeah, let's
Twitter,
go back to the illegal
mark my words, is going to be worth $100 billion before you know it. And that will be a $60 billion increase for Elon Musk. Huh?
Well, we'll have to see because so far he's lost $22 billion on it so far. And so
how did he lose that? He bought it at $44 billion,
44,
and it's worth $43 right now.
Well,
yes,
I'm sorry.
it is.
Last time I checked a couple of weeks ago, it was at 22.
You didn't check today.
No, I didn't. But what I do know is he's still missing. He's
well,
still
you
shed.
should.
Hang on. He still has shed 85% of his advertisers, and he's not going to build value or revenue until he can bring them back.
Well, guess what? Turn your thinking around because Twitter's on a rocket.
Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Okay, back to the illegals voting for Trump
back
in Arizona.
to the illegals.
Yeah,
okay.
voting for Trump. That's the important part.
On that news, I would like to again request that Governor Polis either pardon Tina Peters or jail Jenna Griswold. One or the other. You better do it. And if you don't ever tell us you're going to be president. You're
talk
not
about
president of my half of the electorate.
What about the illegals? The illegals voting in Arizona. That's what we're talking about because they voted for Trump, which was shocking that you said happened. So how did that happen? How did that happen?
Let me answer you. If you look at the disparity between Kari Lake and Donald Trump, what the difference is low propensity voters that came out and just voted for Donald Trump. That's all they did. They took their ballot, X'd out Donald Trump, dumped it in the mail, and that was it. That's all they did. That's the difference between Kari Lake winning and Kari Lake not. What she should have done is had a high profile ad saying, you've got to take that ballot and mark both Kari Lake and Donald Trump, you low propensity voters. And if she had, she probably would be winning right now.
Joe, why
wouldn't the illegals vote for it then?
But Joe, why? I mean, they did break in North Carolina and voted against Mark Robertson and then went for Donald Trump.
That shows you.
Couldn't they have done the same thing in Arizona and just
that shows you the difference between low propensity voters in, say, Pennsylvania and North Carolina than in Colorado and Arizona. Colorado and Arizona low propensity voters are idiots. I'm sorry, but they are. They are virtual morons that they can only figure out to vote for Donald Trump.
Joe, we're out of time.
I appreciate that.
Appreciate your call today. We'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS. Value of Twitter today, $9 billion.
It is 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, November 6th. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. Wow, is it cold and slushy out there. Be careful on the roads. What a night. And we're taking all your phone calls. We're going to get to those in just a second. Look, they tried to impeach him, imprison him, assassinate him twice. They called him fascist, Hitler. His supporters are garbage and deplorable. He took a bullet for us. They took his mugshot, forced him to sit through sham trials, put his aides in prison, raided his own home. And he overcame it all. Donald J. Trump is president number 45 and number 47 and goes into the White House with a mandate. Look, I'm tired of Republicans taking power and backing off in an effort to appease Democrats. Push the boundaries. Take a sledgehammer to the federal government. Close the Department of Education. Cut federal employees and their power by 80%. End the burdensome regulations and corruption. Unleash the power of the free markets and crush the trade deficit. End our endless wars, bring peace to the world, deliver manufacturing back to our shores, and drill, baby, drill. Stop men from invading women's sports and their locker rooms. Build a wall and begin mass deportations. Strengthen the originalists on the U.S. Supreme Court. Protect religious freedom and build a strong culture of family values. Make America healthy again. Empower the dream team, Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, Robert F. Kennedy, Dana White, Ron Paul, and Joe Rogan to change the government. It's time to make America great again. To the race hustling, man-hating, open border globalists, you big government, woke, lawfare, uniparty warmongers, you lost. Take stock. The American people are ready to turn a new page. Trump Vance 2024. What a night. We're going to get to your phone calls and
we should have to
texts.
fight now, though, or something.
Throw down, Billy Boy!
Yes. Like I'm supposed to jump the table or something
all
at
this,
you.
it's all this pent-up losing.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. I feel you. I feel you, my friend. I respect that.
And Billy's been a champ. The text message has been great.
Dude, they've been wonderful.
A lot of good discussion on what this means for America.
Yeah,
and
I
next.
appreciate the callers too, and I appreciate the ones taking me to task. And the one thing more than anything else is the willingness to have the conversation. I've got Mary in Inglewood. We had a really, really good conversation back and forth, and I like how she's thinking we both see things differently, and totally something different than what we're doing on the air here. But really fun. I've really appreciated the people that have come at me, both some in good humor, some in not. But none of it has necessarily, well, except for a couple. Some of you are just being asses, but that's okay. That's why I turn on this microphone and I get it. And that's fine. That's fine. That's all on you.
We also have the hang up button.
Yes, that's true.
So it happens sometimes. Well, we're going to get to your calls and texts. We want to hear from you on last night's huge victory, the big red shock that took place. By the way, still no Kamala Harris. No one's seen her. What's going on there? But we want to hear from you. Give us a call.
It's almost noon East Coast time.
Right.
Well, we're hitting 11 East Coast time. Where is it? Yeah. If she's not out there by 3:00 this afternoon, I get some really serious questions about why not. Get some real serious questions. I'm really worried. I've been seeing on social media some pushes for the Democrats to do similar things that the Republicans did in 2020, challenging elections, a whole bunch of other stuff.
I would love that.
It would be
just purely for
so
the
awful.
drama.
Yeah,
after
just like
everything
if that's the choice.
Yeah,
it's like if that's the choice, then you guys didn't learn anything. And the other thing is, if that is their tactic, for me, it means a lot of the complaints they had on the other end were bogus as well. Just like I think a lot of the complaints about a stolen election are bogus. But if your complaints about it, and you shouldn't be doing this, and then you turn around and do the same thing, I got no time for you.
It's almost like when we put one person in jail for leaked passwords and then the other one gets to keep her job.
Yeah, or like when someone steals secrets and classified information and they get put in jail, but the other person doesn't. It's weird how that happens.
We go
sometimes.
back and forth all day.
I know, all
baby.
day, my friend. All day we can do this.
Okay, we'll get to Lynn and Marty here in a second. Let's check in on news and comment with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Good morning. I can't wait to watch The View. How about you?
I turned over to MSNBC yesterday there and I watched it. It was fun for a few minutes, but they're just such miserable people.
They are, man.
that you're
Rich and miserable.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. 27 and snowy and slick out there. Be careful in Denver and Colorado up and down the Front Range. Expecting a high of 35 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
This will forever be remembered as the day the American people regained control of their country.
DJT is the president-elect. He dominated despite, as Jeff said, the lawfare, the lies, hoaxes, and assassination attempts and the smears, and the lack of opponents being vetted. He ran against not one, but two candidates. Remember that guy? He's still the president. The American people have spoken.
Help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Dave Williams, the head of the GOP, on with Jeff and Billy this morning.
You saw the scales tipping in Donald Trump's favor, and I think this is going to be one of the most historic nights we've ever seen. And Donald Trump's going to go down as one of the most consequential presidents our country has ever had occupy the White House.
This guy was really impressive, I guess, during the last 6 months, maybe. Scott Jennings.
This is a big deal. This isn't backing into the office. This is a mandate to do what you said you were going to do. Get the economy working again for regular working class Americans, fix immigration, try to get crime under control, try to reduce the chaos in the world. This is a mandate from the American people to do that. I think I'm interpreting the results tonight as the revenge of just the regular old working class American, the anonymous American who has been crushed, insulted, condescended to. They're not garbage. They're not Nazis. They're just regular people who get up and go to work every day and are trying to make a better life for their kids. And they feel like they have been told to just shut up.
Hey, Lola's a voter and she's a listener and she was on earlier.
I just want to give thanks to the Lord because he heard the prayers of his prayer warriors. And secondly, I believe that this is going to be an opportunity for President Trump in this administration to really know now who he can trust. And he's going to have a new crew working around him to get things done without malice.
Stocks are surging before the opening bell. The Dow has jumped more than 1,200 points or nearly 3%. Meanwhile, S&P 500 futures are about at up 2.2%. NBC News projecting the Republican Party will reclaim control of the Senate. The GOP needed to flip only 2 seats. Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert is projected to win her election in Colorado's 4th congressional district. The race in Colorado's 8th district is still undecided. Democratic Congresswoman Caraveo. Yadera Caraveo is leading Republican Gabe Evans by about 3,800 votes in unofficial results posted earlier this morning. Rose Puglisi, Colorado House Minority Leader, says there are still some close calls in the state. She joined Jeff and Bill last hour.
A little bit of a nail biter. I'm still a little bit on pins and needles. We've got a couple of close races that we are still working through, but I am incredibly optimistic that the House will gain a couple of seats. So just pray. That's what I'm doing right now. And obviously we're helping kind of navigate those races.
Early results show the constitutional amendment to protect the right to abortion and allow government money to pay for the procedure appears headed for approval. Denver voters are supporting a tax hike to raise money for Denver Health. The measure to increase the sales tax by 0.34% received 57% support in unofficial results posted overnight. Voters were not in favor of a tax increase to support affordable housing, with nearly 52% voting against the measure. 23 in Thornton and 24 in Centennial, 27 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
Listen, man, Donald Trump is the best thing that ever happened to America. And I'm going to tell you why. He don't hide his feelings. He don't hide his emotions. He don't hide who he is.
Have a great day. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
A winter weather advisory is in effect through 11 o'clock tonight. Occasional periods of snow, brisk and cold north winds, temperatures only near 30 today. Some additional snow accumulations will be possible as light snow could linger into early tonight. Temperatures will be down to near 20. Cloudy and cold Thursday, a few flurries Thursday night, lows in the lower 20s. Cloudy Friday, highs upper 30s. Snow Friday night and Saturday and colder. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free, no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
With a victory by nearly 53,000 votes from the top rope, George Brauchler, your new district attorney in the 23rd Judicial District, joins the Jeff and Bill Show. Congratulations.
Yeah, running wild.
You, my man.
Rockamania running wild all over Colorado.
It feels good to have it over. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels good to have it in the books. And get ready to move on to whatever this next step in the transition is. It was a good night for us in particular.
Well, the vision you set forth is one that's very compelling to the people of Douglas, Elbert, and Lincoln County, because I live out in Elbert County. That it was kind of a tombstone. It was the law is back, and we're putting the bad guys away. So now you got to deliver on it, Mr. District Attorney.
Well, that's right. And if you guys look at the ballot, and they're not the big races, but if you look at the ballot, law and order was there, right? Yeah. Whether it's Amendment I about bail for murderers, or that fund to help out law enforcement, or truth in sentencing, wherever justice was on the ballot, law and order, it won out, even if all the candidates didn't. And so, as you start thinking about what the future holds, it seems to me, I'm very thankful, by the way, that we have this petition process. I know Krista Kafer and Caldera are always excited with it, but I'm thrilled we have it, because this tells me if we're going to make any changes in public safety and criminal justice moving forward, they're going to have to be at the local level with DAs and sheriffs and police chiefs, and at the state level through the ballot process. That's it. We just can't count on the legislature to do anything other than to whittle it away. And my prediction, by the way, now that this truth in sentencing has passed, is that the legislature will be moving to reduce down the top end sentence range for a whole host of crimes.
Really? So you think they'll step in, yep, continue with that effort to let the bad guys out early because of compassion and who knows who their mother was, that type of thing?
I think they're going to do that, Jeff. I think they'll come forward. If it's not this year, it's next. And it'll be a bill that will say, like right now, let's say, for instance, attempt murder is a 16 to 48 year sentence, but only spends about like 46% of that. So it spends, if you got maxed out, like 23 years. I think now that they know that 85% of those sentences are going to have to be served, I think what you're going to see is some sort of felony or justice reform bill at some point that says, maybe attempt murder should be good for only 30 years. And I'm making that number up, but something to try to get us closer to a reduced sentence. That's just how this legislature is built. I've said it every year, and every year I've been right. It's the most offender-friendly legislature we've ever seen in the state. And they keep saying, hold my beer. Like there's just, we got something else.
George, let me ask you this. We're talking with George Brauchler, just elected district attorney of the 23rd Judicial District. I feel like I have the same conversation over and over again. On issues, the people are with us, whether it's Tabor or oil and gas, fracking, or crime. the people of Colorado seem to support Republican policies on those, and then they jump over and hand the Democrats major victories personally. So help me understand how we continue to miss it as a party in the state.
Well, I think with some exceptions, first off, Colorado got bluer last night. I don't know if you could feel it or see it in the numbers. I think at a time when the rest of America seems to be pushing ever so slightly another direction, slightly enough that Trump won, and I think overwhelmingly, Colorado got bluer, and I don't see a lot of hope in the next couple cycles. And if you look at that, I told Billy this off air, you take a look at that electoral map, we're going to win Nevada. We're going to win Arizona. And but for New Mexico, we are an island of blue surrounded by a sea of red.
Yep.
There is no other state like us out there. And if you look at the results, it tells you something. And again, I wish I had been able to listen in on the Dave thing, but we're ineffective as a party. And one of the things, I'll give you an example too. We eat our own. In Douglas County, we had hardcore conservatives, the kind that are like, if you don't go through the assembly, you're dead to me. As the general election ballots are out there, posting on Facebook, don't vote for the Dems or the rhinos. And I'm like, wait, what? I get the rhino talk in the primary, but are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And there are a whole host of these influential hardcore conservatives that are out there trying to tell their people, hey, we would rather lose at the ballot and come back and try to take it away from a Dem than win with the wrong kind of Republican. You don't see the Dems doing that.
No.
The Dems are absolutely brilliant at getting behind whoever their person is and doing everything and anything they can to try to get them across the goal line. And this goes back to something Ted Trimpa said a while ago, and that is the problem with Republicans is they care about being right. Dems just care about being in power. And I'm like, damn, that's what we see.
And that was brought up last night when Peter Boyles had Tommy the Tank on, Tom Tancredo, and Ted Trimpa. They talked about this, and Tommy the Tank was talking, Tancredo was talking about how this goes back to the 70s. Since he ever started running the very first time, he's had to deal with contentious divisions within the Republican Party. And it's not just the Republicans. Like, it's anything on the conservative side. The pro-life movement, for instance, is wildly fractured in Colorado. You almost can't even get those people in a room together without them exploding in rage towards each other. So, I mean, that's a big problem that's been around for a long time. We didn't get a lot of time with Dave Williams. I asked him to come back on once we get real good analysis on what happened in the state of Colorado. But I did briefly bring this up. Does Pennsylvania become the model? And I raised Pennsylvania because it came down to basic blocking and tackling that, frankly, I don't see in Colorado. They went out there and registered people to vote day after day in the spring, in the summer, when nobody was looking. They spent time building an infrastructure. Then they went toe-to-toe with the Democrat ground game, where they were out ballot harvesting. They were driving people to the polls. They were doing everything that the Democrats do that Republicans have just kind of kept hands off for years. They went toe-to-toe with the Democrats, and they showed they could win. So, it's a fair critique of the state party. Does the Colorado Republican Party have the leadership, the capabilities to go toe-to-toe with the Democrats on the ground game and try to win some of these seats back?
How can you look at yesterday's results and come to any conclusion other than no? I mean, that stuff you described for Pennsylvania, did you see that here? Any model of it? Look, I became the top vote getter in Douglas County, not because I relied upon the party, and the party played its role. Don't get me wrong. They did their thing, but we had our own ground game.
Yeah.
We had our own phone banking game. And the reason for that is you just can't trust the party to get you over the goal line in the state of Colorado at this point, or at any county. And that's not to diminish the efforts of those people. I love those people. They're hardcore Republicans, but we're not doing it right, or we're not doing it enough. So you got to take matters into your own hands. By the way, I'm not alone in that. Jared Polis did not rely upon the Democrat infrastructure to win in 2018. He said, to hell with y'all, and spent some of his jillions to get his own statewide apparatus up and running. I think what we're starting to see too, especially in Colorado, is the growing irrelevance and death of the state party structure. And we barely avoided the hastening of that by the defeat of 131.
Yeah.
If 131 had passed, people would be like, what's the point? What's the party for? It doesn't vet people.
And I think it's a fair critique about who can bring about the best blocking and tackling, basic groundwork. If you want to replace Dave Williams, that's the argument to make. I have never been a fan of this person's more conservative, that person's a rhino, all that, because I worked at one point in the state party and I hated the division that took place within it, the constant critiques. Measure somebody, and Mike Rosa and I got into this last night about it. Measure somebody on their win-loss and then find people that can win. That's the leadership we need, both as candidates and in the party infrastructure, and maybe even outside the party infrastructure.
I agree. And one other observation, by the way, nationally, I'm not the originator of this, but when I heard it, I was like, this makes sense. The transformation of the Republican Party is complete.
Yeah.
Man. I mean, we are now, and the Dems too. The Dems are now dominated by the hardcore left progressives.
Yep.
And Republicans are not dominated by conservatives. They're a minority faction of the Republicans, Jeff, you and I. They are dominated by the progressives and the nationalists. I mean, that's the new Republican Party, and that transformation took place last night. It is over. That debate is over.
Wow. So George Brauchler, the new district attorney for Judicial District 23, joining Jeff and Bill live. Congratulations flowing in on the text messages to you, sir. We appreciate the time today. We were talking last night. I talked to Ted Trimpa about how exactly what you and Jeff were just discussing, how we are experiencing a demographic shift in both parties that we may not figure out for 6, 8, even 10 years. Both parties are beginning to redefine themselves along educational lines, along employment lines, and even along biological sex lines, male and female. We seem to be realigning. And how long do you think it's going to take until we figure out what this new, and I hesitate to say GOP party, I like the term Trump party looks like, and the new Democrat party looks like?
That's a great question. I think if you're the Dems, and you've started to see it on social media right now, like now the knives are starting to come out for Biden in some corners. Like, you should have left in January. We should have been able to have a vigorous primary and vet a candidate and build momentum. And you can start to see some of that around the edges. They're going to have to, especially with how many states they've lost and the way they lost the popular vote, guys. Weren't you prepared? Hey, we got to do away with the Electoral College because once again, the Dems won the popular vote. Now what?
Yeah, I would have loved if that compact was in place and our electors in Colorado went for Trump.
Oh my God, buddy, that is genius. I think that on the Republican side, what will be interesting to see is, does this transformation outlast the man? Because he truly is a cult of personalities guy, right? Like, you can't deny that. Love him, hate him, whatever. You can't deny that this guy is a once in a couple lifetime kind of political figure. And when he goes, if that transition can happen with J.D. Vance, who is a much more polished, traditional kind of speaker and all, he's just not as bombastic in that same kind of way. He's just not that way. If that transformation can take place with a J.D. Vance or someone like him, we may know pretty quickly here within the next election cycle or two what the Republican Party is going to be. But if Trump leaves and we go back to some sort of incredible WWE fight night type thing to try to see what happens, I don't know who emerges. Is it a Tulsi Gabbard? My God, is it a Tulsi Gabbard? Is it a Nikki Haley? Is it who is it? JD?
This is the question I have. The question I have about that, as far as, and he put it very accurately on the GOP side of things, is what does that look like? Because the reason Trump, in my opinion, has been so embraced is because he is not the politician. Because he breaks all the rules and he doesn't follow what you would assume a politician will be. So when we say the follow-up to Trump is going to be someone that's a politician, I'm not sure that works, because we had a more polished speaker. We had people that were more polished in presentation and even policy knowledge and being a wonk in the primary, and none of them could touch Trump. I'm very skeptical that someone like a Tulsi Gabbard, a Nikki Haley, a Ron DeSantis, a J.D. Vance can take over Trump's mantle simply because they are politicians. And I think part of the core appeal of Trump has been he's not a politician. So I don't think a politician can fill that hole.
We've got 4 years, and possibly children within the Trump family coming up as well. Don Jr., Eric, you never know.
Oh, there's no way it's going to be
Well,
Eric.
that's true. I think what Billy says makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know, man. Listen, if you just wrote down a list of all the things that have been thrown at Donald Trump since he left office, right? Like, or about the time he left office. If you wrote down January 6th, election denialism, convicted of felonies in Manhattan, prosecuted in Georgia, 2 federal cases, all the scandals, the civil, if you put all that stuff down and said, could that guy win the popular vote for president and win the presidency? You would say there's nobody in the world that could pull that off.
Do you think
Donald Trump did.
Do you think it brings an end to this lawfare, though? Do you think Democrats are doing a little self-analysis going, well, unleashing the Department of Justice upon our political opponents clearly didn't work?
No, I don't. I think they're going to see this too, as this is just a Trump anomaly thing. What I wonder about now is, what does he do with those 2 federal cases, right? Dude's got all the power in the world when he takes office on January 20th. What does he do? Does he dismiss Jack Smith and make those charges go away? I think that's a horrible look.
Oh, yeah, he does that, though. He does that.
Oh, yeah, I think he does it, too. No one's going to care.
Yeah, I think it's a horrible look. The Mar-a-Lago one, and we've talked about this many times, that's legit. And I don't know if you shelve it and say, hey, let's just see what happens. I'm not going to prosecute myself, obviously, while I'm in office. I'm going to suspend this thing for 4 years. The one in D.C., I think, is garbage. It's made up, trumped up, forget upon. The Georgia one, that's not going anywhere. As long as there's a Fonnie Willis, that thing's not going anywhere, even though Georgia went for Trump. But I'd like to think it's going to be over. But we have become this thing. I woke up looking at my the doom scroll thing. You guys probably did too. It's either jubilation and I told you so, or people who are like, I'm packing my bags and leaving. America has disappointed me for the last time. I hate my fellow Americans. I'm just like, what have we become?
Oh, yeah. And Fonnie Willis won re-election in Georgia. So I don't think that case goes anywhere. Now, I do before George Brauchler leaves us, I do have to ask a question that someone on the phone asked. So I want to honor their time. Yeah. And they basically asked about the idea of bail and how we're trying to change the rules around people that are charged, for severe violent crimes and maybe holding them without bail. How did they get around? Because the person was talking about you can't necessarily deny them bail per se, but how does that work with some of the new enforcement, some of the new laws? What's your opinion on that?
Two big things at work here. One is that Amendment I was only about murderers, really. And all we've said is, hey, look, when we took away the death penalty, we handicapped our constitutional prohibition on giving bail to proof evident presumption great murderers. And so now we've changed it so that that's no longer an issue. It's not going to be a proof evident presumption great on capital cases. It can just be on murder cases. So it just applies to murder. The real interesting part of that question, though, is what can be done with something called not individual bail cases, but a bond schedule. Every chief judge of every judicial district, and now there'll be 23, gets to set a bond schedule at the beginning of whatever period of time. And it tells you that automatically when someone is picked up or arrested for a charge like motor vehicle theft, this is the presumptive bond that gets in there. We don't really take a look at those, and we probably should. There's probably a good Dave McGoy, a Gazette news story in there that compares the bond schedules from one jurisdiction to another. But you can set those things so that we're not turning the jails into a revolving door for thieves and burglars and drug dealers and all that other stuff. The other thing on an individual case that a judge can do is say, I think you are such a risk for X, Y, and Z, including not coming back because the charge is against you. I'm going to give you $1 million cash bail. Well, you're not going to go to a surety and get $1 million cash bail unless you can put up probably, $5-6 million. Not a lot of people can do that. Governor Polis would be the only guy that could get out on that, maybe an Anschutz or something like that. So those are the little techniques that can be used, but some of that is so jurisdictional. And you guys were right to point out the judge thing. Holy crap, what do you have to do to not?
I know.
You have to choke out a juror in the middle of trial? I mean,
all reelected, all approved again. Even the singular one that got the little note not to vote for her, she's back into. George Brauchler with a 52,923 vote victory and the new district attorney.
Yeah, congratulations.
Judicial District 23. Congratulations, Jorge.
Thanks, man. And hopefully I won't see you guys in the courtroom unless you're in the jury box.
We'll look forward to your leadership in a much safer district down there as a result of it. Thanks again, George, and congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Talk to you, Jen. Thanks.
All right, we'll continue with the calls. We know many of you have been waiting a long time. I do want to talk to you about an important event coming up November 15th. Colorado Christian University invites you to an exclusive luncheon and lecture on Friday, November 15th, featuring the 48th Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence, and his wife, former Second Lady Karen Pence. What do you think he thinks about this, Bill? What do you think he thinks about last night?
Oh, that's not going to go well. Yeah, that's not
Could
good.
have been vice president again.
No, he couldn't have, because Trump supporters wanted to kill him. No, he couldn't have. That wouldn't have worked.
What does
that
he
well.
think of this new administration? And do you think J.D. Vance was a good upgrade?
No.
In partnership with the Centennial Institute, the CCU president, Eric Hogue, this event offers a unique opportunity to engage in conversation with Vice President Pence, one of America's most dedicated public servants, sharing his insights on the future of the conservative movement. Be among the first to experience the new Armstrong Center as CCU launches its President Speaker Series on this historic occasion. Go to ccu.edu/Pence to get tickets and learn more. Limited tickets are available for breakfast with Karen Pence, lunch with Mike Pence, and morning and evening lectures. Throughout the day, you'll engage in conversations on leadership, faith, and service with these distinguished guests. Please join CCU on November 15th for these events with Mike and Karen Pence. Go to ccu.edu/Pence. To get tickets and learn more, that's ccu.edu/Pence. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail when you can get what you want at 50% off? Just go to RockyMountainBargains.com and save. Here's this week's featured item.
A Keurig K Supreme Plus Smart Serve coffee maker valued at $200. Get it now for half price.
Get it now at RockyMountainBargains.com for 50% off. RockyMountainBargains.com, where you always pay half price. Restrictions apply. Go to RockyMountainBargains.com for complete details.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're covering everything the day after a major, consequential national election that handed Republicans the White House, the Senate, and likely the House of Representatives as well. Let's go to the phone lines. Lynn, you've been incredibly patient. Welcome to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Hello, Jeff. Hello, Jeff and Billy. But you know what? I know you like to banter, the micro versus the macro statistics. But, path of citizenship, for illegal aliens that entered, into our country over the past administration, 4 years, 10 million minimum, 20 million or plus, but not so much. It's not so complicated. And I really believe Trump is going to get this done, to look at, who came into the country 4 years ago and up to now, and he's going to level them. He's going to level them.
I got a question for you, Lynn. How does he know about the illegal immigrants? Because the only people you would know about would be those that claimed asylum when they got to the points of entry. So they would be granted temporary citizenship, and it wouldn't necessarily be the first people he can go after. He would have to go after the people that are illegal. How does he find them?
Asylum is one thing, but illegal, terrorist,
yeah, but how do you find
criminals, all of that.
Because remember, they snuck in. So how do you find them?
Trump is going to create a list of yellow, low threat, and then
yeah, but the high threat, Lynn, the high threat people would have to be at the top of the list. And if they're the illegal criminals that are sneaking in, how do we put them on the list if we don't know who they are, where they are, because they snuck in the first place? We have no way of tracking them.
You like to banter numbers. I know.
No, this is just a theory. I didn't talk about numbers. I'm talking theory behind this, not numbers. I'm just asking questions. How do we find the people that came in here illegally as the criminals? Because the criminals, the gang members, aren't going to claim asylum at the border.
He's already on it.
Okay, so it's trust me, bro. Okay, that's fair.
Well, I'll tell you. Number one, you got to end all these sanctuary city and state policies where ICE is not coordinating with police. So that becomes step one, right? You get arrested. We're going to be checking your immigration status and kicking you out. And then you kind of work your way through a series of priorities. I think you can find businesses for hiring illegals, mandatory e-verify systems, all that stuff that'll make it harder for people to live in the shadows because they can't get jobs. Now, are you going to solve every problem?
First strike.
No,
first
but
strike, you're out. First strike, you're out.
And you need to punish the businesses that are hiring them. But Lynn, really appreciate the call. Thank you so much for your patience. We got a lot of folks we're going to try to get through here in just a second. Look, for many of us, it's happening. Your hair is thinning, your crown's disappearing. Maybe hair loss has you feeling your identity is lost altogether. Well, I've got good news for you. It's an incredible yet simple one-day treatment. Just one day. It starts growing your own natural hair the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. Maybe you're going to wear that MAGA hat for the rest of your life. Maybe you want to take it off. If you do and you want to show that hair, you got to check out Advanced Hair and their advanced FUE system. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly subscriptions. They help retain what you have, but what if what you want is your own natural hair permanently in specific areas? From Advanced Hair state-of-the-art facilities to world-class Dr. Tanya Pauls, it's not maybe will your hair regrow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. You decide how much, how thick, and where. It's why Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Call 720-459-HAIR. That's 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. All right, Hugo, you called it. You texted me yesterday and said, Jeff, stop worrying. We got it. You were right, my friend.
Yes, sir, and I'm happy for that. But before I say anything more, what I would like to say is that for all praise and glory goes to God Almighty, because proof that prayer works. So that aside, I can tell you this, that, I've been watching a lot, and I mean a lot, of analysis and electoral maps and polls and predictions, and watching every one of them from front to back. And that's where I came up with my prediction, because we don't get the same feedback from the national media. They kept propping her up. They kept saying how close it is, this and that. I never believed it because I talked to way too many people, and even from the Democrat side, who were telling me that they're not very vocal, but they're going to vote for Trump. And so it showed in the numbers, and still we've yet to see all the final numbers, but I think the handwriting is on the wall. I called that it was going to be, known last night. Everybody was saying, "Oh, it's going to be days or weeks or whatever."
Yeah, you were right. But I got to ask you this question, Hugo: why isn't Trump's success translating to the Colorado Republican Party?
Well, because we're behind in the demographic chase. That's my opinion. I've been saying this for a very long time, and I was listening to some of what George was saying earlier. I respectfully disagree with some of his premises and some of his analysis. I think this state is actually red, but we have dirty voter rolls. We have a horrendous Secretary of State that doesn't want to do anything, and we have a system that needs cleaning up. Now, I don't know if you know a gentleman by the name of Jay Valentine. Have you ever heard of him?
I do not.
Oh, I know
Okay.
him, but yikes. Okay.
Okay. Well, he developed a system called the fractal system, and he's not a political guy. He's more of a data guy, and he's gone around to areas where voter rolls have been known to be in disarray, let's just say. And when he did the analysis for Colorado after 2020, he came up with a number of counties in Colorado that had delivered more votes in a county that had more votes than what there were eligible voters for, in other words. So
I think the key is you've got to be on top of them. We saw that in a lot of these states, and there's room to grow there. Hugo, we're just out of time. I really appreciate the call. Congratulations again. He called it, telling me yesterday this is going to be a big one for Trump, and he was exactly right. Hugo, appreciate the call. We'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
RockyMountainBargains.com, where you'll always pay half price. Why pay retail when you can get what you want at 50% off? Just go to RockyMountainBargains.com and save. Here's this week's featured item.
A Keurig K Supreme Plus Smart Serve Coffee Maker valued at $200. Get it now for half price.
Get it now at RockyMountainBargains.com for 50% off. RockyMountainBargains.com, where you always pay half price. Restrictions apply. Go to RockyMountainBargains.com for complete details.
DJT is number 45 and 47. What does Donald Trump's election mean for the future of the Republican Party? We even talked with the Colorado GOP chairman, Dave Williams, about how Colorado Republicans fared. If you missed any of that, go to 710knus.com to download the podcast. Let's go to Marty, Denver. Good morning, Marty.
Hey, morning.
Hey, great stuff, guys. You feel like you've kind of, day after the Super Bowl kind of talk. Billy, not all hope is lost. I still believe Kamala Harris will be our 47th president in this sort of interim period. Christians, conservatives need to be aware of, think about this. 2020 was a nightmare. And then you've had for the last 4 years and even beyond this rhetoric of Trump's a Nazi. He's going to get you. He's going to smoke everybody out. But yet it seems too easy for how last night went. Am I thinking about this too cautiously? The fact that he smoked her in every swing state. They're going to have the House and the Senate. And I guess if they hadn't behaved so badly, Billy and Jeff, during the last 4 years, in which we do need criminal prosecutions, Alejandro Mayorkas, if this was a serious country, he would be tried, convicted, and hanging from a noose in public for what he's done to our country.
Oh, that's
Doesn't
ridiculous.
it feel like there's another shoe coming? I mean,
that's ridiculous,
look at
Marty.
the treason.
He didn't.
Now, how
he didn't
so,
treason.
Billy?
Okay, why? What did he do? What did he do that deserved capital punishment?
Well, capital punishment would be, I think, warranted. I mean, just the one eye for an eye. So just take Lake and Riley. That's on his watch and this administration's watch. So that right there is an executable offense. But when you look at what
so
they
you're
did
saying,
with that
so you're telling me that if a district attorney and someone's murdered in their jurisdiction, they should then be hung because that person died on their watch, correct? Same with a police chief. Police chief should also be held criminally responsible if someone in their jurisdiction dies.
If the police,
right?
if the police chief is helping facilitate that crime, he's an active participant in that crime.
How did
unfortunately,
Mayorkas become an active participant in the crime?
Okay, so he has, and I know it's not Kamala's border. We know that it's Alejandro.
No.
He is
How
Jewish.
was he involved in the crime? You can disagree with how he implements policy, but that doesn't make it a crime. How was he involved in the murder? Please explain. Otherwise, you're full of crap.
He willingly, knowingly released convicted murderers, criminals into this country. That is not up for debate. We did not let 10 million babies come in here, Billy. And so for that, and Joe Biden, if this was a serious country, though, those people will all be hanging.
No, that's ridiculous.
The debate,
treason is outlined in the Constitution. Check yourself.
And I think we all learned right now the debate will continue tomorrow. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
Denver's talk leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.